Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for slaying Star Demon God of Boundary. The reward is 10 billion experience points. The price of the holy source is 1 billion and the striking value is 1 point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for slaying Star Demon God of Boundary. The reward is 10 billion experience points. The price of the holy source is 1 billion and the striking value is 1 point. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining Star Demon Devouring Rules. Ding! The system has detected that the refining power can be used. The God of Boundary's edge fused with the Star Demon Devouring Rule and the power of the Big Dipper. The third blade can be used to refine it. The system's voice rang out incessantly, and Long Fei was already completely stupefied. Originally, he had already given up on using the Star Demon God of Boundary. However, he didn't expect that little Unraveled would still be able to release it after suppressing the Star Demon God of Boundary. And what little Unraveled showed Long Fei was the rules of Star Demon Devouring. Temporarily, Long Fei said, Long Fei deeply desired the third blade of the God of Boundary. However, the power of rules of the Big Dipper was linked together with the diagram. Long Fei still needed to use this power to head to the Big Dipper realm to search for powers related to the Ancient Emperor. Second, Long Fei did not want to use the Law of Devouring. The little guy's strength had been tempered 6 times. Although he was powerful, when he met a true expert, he had no way of controlling his opponent. Take Star Demon God of Boundary, for example. If not for the fact that Star Demon God of Boundary had already been beaten half to death, little Unraveled could not have possibly taken it. With this devouring force, it would be for the best. However, it was able to complement his 6 strengths and multiply its power. As he thought of this, he threw the devouring power of the Star Demon onto the millstone on Big Yellow's neck. This power is suitable for you. Grinder Suppression, Star Demon Conjuration, Devour. In addition to that, all 6 of your powers shall be erased immediately. This will be your invincible battle technique. Long Fei said. Suddenly, little Unraveled's eyes lit up. He was extremely excited and wanted to test it out on the spot. However, the people in front of him right now had long disappeared. Even the experts from the previous super strong world had already been turned into animals by little Unraveled Super Hottie. Even if he wanted to take action, he couldn't find a match. Elephant. Finally, little Unraveled turned his gaze towards Wang Yun and Jiang Chuanxiu. Young master, don't be rash. We are following the Lord. Yes, young master. Was it me who held you just now? Have you forgotten? Wang Yun and Jiang Chuanxiu shivered as they hurriedly said. Long Fei also patted little Unraveled's shoulder and said, Don't worry, there's plenty of opportunities. Moreover, Father has some matters to attend to, and will be leaving this place for a period of time alone. In the future, your uncles, aunties, and your mother will depend on you for protection. At that time, you won't miss the chance to take action. Long Fei said. On this point, Long Fei did not want to evade. He really did want to leave alone. It was impossible for him to give up on the power of the 13 great emperors. But now, Li Yuanba and the others lost out in terms of strength. Even if he were to refine it again, it would still take a period of time. After all, they were different from Jiang Chuanxiu. They were all brothers of Long Fei, following him the entire way. Long Fei naturally could not say that it was for them to directly devour it. Rather, he wanted them to smell it step by step. This was the only way to avoid leaving any complaints and let them go further and further away. For example, Jiang Chuanxiu and Wang Yun were enlightened. But for Li Yuanba and the others, Long Fei wanted them to start cultivating from the beginning. Such a difference could be imagined. While they were talking, Long Fei also brought little Unraveled to where Lu Luoshi and the rest were. Seeing everyone's weak applications, Long Fei's heart felt as if it was being stabbed with a knife as he hugged the few of them in his arms. Sorry, I'm late. Long Fei blamed himself in his eyes. Hubby, you finally came. I knew you would come. Hurry and save big sister, Yuan Ba, and the others. Oya said. Long Fei nodded his head heavily and then took out the energies that he refined before. He divided them one by one, and then put them into a few people's mouths. In an instant, their bodies began to heal back up at a speed visible to the naked eye. One by one, they opened their eyes. Boss, Long Fei, hubby, they all said the same thing, and they were all surprised. However, in the blink of an eye, he became extremely worried as his gaze turned from the void above. In that moment, Long Fei's heart was filled with extreme warmth and was extremely moved. This was what a brother was. This was his woman. Even now, they were still thinking for Long Fei. Don't worry, everything is fine now. Everything here has become the past. Long Fei said indifferently. Lu Luoxi suddenly threw himself on a Long Fei's body and cried incessantly. Xiao Wudi also came over, sneaking in a Long Fei's and Lu Luoxi's embrace, speaking in a childish voice to persuade them. After a long while, they finally calmed down. It was at this point that an airship smashed through the barrier of space and descended. The expression on little Invincible's face turned cold, and then he gave a cold snort. Humph. Just when I wanted to make my move, when I couldn't find the person, someone came up to me to throw away their life. This is truly the best. Dad, it's a deal. Don't fight with me for it this time. Little unrivaled super hottie was in high spirits. While speaking, he clapped his hands, and the big yellow dog came to the front of the little Invincible being and crawled down. However, before Xiao Wudi could get up, Long Fei had instead, "Come back to me. These are all my people. If you kill them, who do you think will be able to overturn the Supreme Realm?" Long Fei said snappily. That's right. These people were the 1,000 people who had chosen to follow Long Fei in the 10,000 Beast world. As for Jiang Chunxiu and Wang Yun, they had already left to welcome him. Moments later, the flying ship came to a halt. 1,000 people came and kneeled in the air. "Greetings, sir." 1,000 people shouted in unison. He seemed to know something, and his face was full of respect. Incomparable respect. Long Fei nodded heavily. Just as he was about to open his mouth, Hong Chu suddenly tugged his hand. "Hubby, save the royal elder," Hong Chuya said weakly. Long Fei was startled, as if he thought of something. "Damn, how could I have forgotten about this? You guys wait here. I'll be right back." As he spoke, Long Fei leaped into the air and directly arrived at the top of the original Star Palace. This was a star cage. However, because Hong Yi was the first to be captured, he was treated specially by the Star Demon Realm. Boom! Long Fei blasted out his fist, dispersing the space around him. All the star power that was coiling around in the air immediately vanished, returning to clarity. And Hong Yi's figure directly appeared in front of Long Fei. At this moment, Hong Yi's entire body was penetrated by the power of the stars, torturing him to the point where he didn't even look human anymore. However, his posture was still as proud as ever. It seemed that there was no power that could defeat this man. Long Fei's heart immediately darkened. Without any hesitation, he went straight to Hong Yi's side. Initially, he had wanted to make fun of her, but now he could only feel deep gratitude. He knows that if it weren't for Hong Yi, his brothers and women would have already met with misfortune. "Forefather, thank you for your hard work," Long Fei said solemnly. Long Fei had always been grateful towards Hong Yi. Long Fei had always been grateful towards Hong Yi. Whether it was back in the Sun God world or now, Hong Yi had kept his promise to protect his own brothers and women. Regarding this point, Long Fei had absolutely nothing to say. Seeing Hong Yi's suffering, Long Fei's heart was filled with guilt and admiration. At this time, Hong Yi opened his eyes. As the astral energy disappeared, the restrictive power also dispersed. The force that was applied to Hong Yi's body was also gradually dispelled. "Good boy, cough, cough." Hong Yi coughed violently. He had been imprisoned in the star prison for too long, and every day he had to endure the anxiety and torture of the star force. His cultivation base had also been restricted, and he was now a cripple. If it wasn't for the fact that his physical body was already in another body and had the ability to transform matter into quantum particles, he would have already collapsed under the ravages of this energy. "Don't say anything for now. Wait for me to rescue you first," Long Fei said. The current Hong Yi was too weak. The more he endured, the more burden it placed on his body. When he thought about that, Long Fei made a violent move, dispersing all the energy that was bound to Hong Yi's body. Following that, Long Fei squeezed out a drop of blood essence. "You're lucky. If it wasn't for you protecting my bro and woman, I wouldn't give anything to you," Long Fei said indifferently. Not everyone was qualified to have his blood essence. In the past, in order to kill the enemy, he had used his blood essence to activate his power at all costs. Thinking about it now, even Long Fei felt that it was a pity. As the old saying goes, youth doesn't know the value of blood essence. Moreover, the strength of his body was constantly increasing. He had already reached the peak of the other shore, and he also had the power to fuse the ruins of the other shore. The strength of his blood essence was now at an unimaginable level. But now, Long Fei had directly given it to Hong Yi. Although he said it was a pity, Long Fei did not hesitate at all. It was all because of the kindness Hong Yi had shown him. Hong Yi's face was also grave as he looked seriously at Long Fei, a hint of gratitude appearing in his eyes. With his vision, he was naturally able to see the monstrous power contained within the blood essence. He even had the feeling that after refining it, his physical strength would break through a level. While he was tossing and turning, he did not say anything. With a heavy expression, he received the drop of blood essence and swallowed it in one gulp before starting to refine it. Unravel. In the blink of an eye, the qi and blood on Hong Yi's body surged. Crack, crack, crack. In an instant, Hong Yi's body seemed to have reformed, making ka-ka sounds. Not only that, it was as though all the pores on his body opened up at this moment as they madly devoured astral energy, baptizing himself and reshuffling his cultivation. His strength had already been depleted by the power of the stars, so cultivating again wasn't too difficult for him. Almost visible to the naked eye, Hong Yi's cultivation base rose rapidly. In the blink of an eye, the sun god, the 9 tribulations, had reached the other shore. However, at this time, the energy in the void had already been exhausted. It simply wasn't enough for Hong Yi to absorb. At this moment, Long Fei's eyes were also set. This was also an opportunity for Hong Yi. After it was destroyed, it would be erected. He might be able to break through his cultivation level in one go and increase it by a level. Thinking about it, Long Fei did not hesitate at all. With a flip of his hand, 3 experience elixirs directly appeared in his hand. That's right, the experience elixir that the system converted from experience after it swept across the meteorite realm last time. My physical body can only withstand 5 of them. Although the strength of Hong Yi's body is not bad, it's definitely not as strong as mine. 3 should be enough, right? Whatever, let's try it first. Long Fei thought. Then, he directly threw out an experience elixir. However, at this time, Hong Yi was completely immersed in the process of refining his power. As soon as the experience elixir got close, without even needing Long Fei to say anything, the surging force was immediately opened by Hong Yi. The force raged and directly entered Hong Yi's body. At this moment, Hong Yi's cultivation base had already returned to its peak, crossing the other side. Moreover, this was not the end. One breath later, Hong Yi had broken through to another level. However, this level of cultivation could no longer be determined by conventional methods. But in comparison, it was already comparable to the Big Dipper god of boundary. Another breath of time passed. Hong Yi's body became even more powerful, and even the power that he previously displayed with the Starlight god of boundary was incomparable. Third breath, the power finally disappeared, and Hong Yi's cultivation had once again broken through to another level. In fact, Long Fei felt that he was even stronger than little unrivaled Super Hottie when he used his 6 moves previously. Long Fei's eyes lit up. He never thought that this tiny experience elixir would actually contain such immense power. As he thought about it, Long Fei started to consider whether or not he should give it another one. However, at this moment, Hong Yi suddenly opened his eyes from his absorption. His aura surged. "Brat, if you want me to directly die, then just drop it," Hong Yi said snappily. Obviously, he was well aware of what was happening right now. When he opened his mouth now, he immediately rejected Long Fei's next move. This time, Long Fei was slightly startled, touched his nose, and thought, 30 billion experience points, that's awesome. I was thinking of using Hong Yi's body to take 3 at most, but I didn't expect 1 would be enough. Long Fei thought as he casually picked up 1 and placed it in his mouth. Swish! With a flash of light, the experience bar instantly rose by 30 billion experience points. As for everything else, there were no changes at all. Hong Yi had just finished his cultivation and was about to reveal his strength, but after seeing Long Fei's actions, he was immediately stunned. Only after a long time did he finally spit out 2 words, abnormal. Long Fei turned and smiled faintly, then immediately took out 4 pills and placed it in his mouth. Shwa 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 shwa. 4 pills entered his body, directly transforming into 120 billion experience points. Boom! Long Fei's experience bar rose sharply in an instant and directly reached 80% of the original. It directly reached an astonishing 40 million. Right now, Long Fei was at the peak of the 5th level. He only lacked 10 million experience to level up. In other words, as long as Long Fei wanted to, it will level up tomorrow. But of course, Long Fei would not level up. This was because leveling up meant that one's condition would be restored, and it was equivalent to having an extra life. Long Fei naturally could not level up. But this scene caused Hong Yi to be greatly taken aback. While still in astonishment, he looked at Long Fei and continued to retreat and said in the end, I take back what I just said. You're not a pervert. Hong Yi changed the topic of conversation. You're nothing but an animal. Time flew by in the blink of an eye. Time flew by in the blink of an eye. 3 days later. At this time, Li Yuanba and the rest cultivation had also started to recover. However, he didn't return to his peak like Hong Yi. He proceeded step by step. With his current level of cultivation, it was a luxury even in space. If it were not for the fact that little unrivaled stood alone in the air and the 6 forces stood in the air, wanting to be a safe and stable existence in this world was a luxury. Not much, but Long Fei was indifferent to it, because their power was actually seal. They had to be retrained. Boss, why don't we just unlock the seal? If we continue cultivating like this, when will we be able to return to the peak? Even little unrivaled is so awesome now. There's also Patriarch Hong Yi. He's so awesome as well. Now that he's in front of us, we're nothing more than a bunch of trash. Li Yuanba and the rest all spoke up. Seeing Long Fei, all of them had bitter expressions. But Long Fei ignored him. You want to be awesome? All right, then I'll just obediently cultivate. Your power has always been in your body, so I want you to start training again to remove the impurities. Don't forget, you are my King Kong. How can you become a captive in the hands of others so easily? It's too embarrassing. However, I can guarantee that this time around, as long as your cultivations return, your battle power will definitely increase. At that time, there won't be anyone in the 10,000 worlds who can easily control you. Long Fei said calmly. His eyes were filled with determination. This time, the enmity that had befallen the Star Demon realm caused Long Fei to make up his mind. He needed to increase the strength of King Kong and the others in every way. After all, the enemies they faced in the endless world could no longer be compared to before. If he wanted to go far enough, he had to be strong. Furthermore, even if Long Fei were to sweep through all of them, he would not be able to stay by their side the entire time. Therefore, the only way was to make them stronger. And this time, Long Fei had even left 1 experience elixir for each of them. It was not that Long Fei was unwilling to part with him. He was saying that this power was too explosive. With them, being able to cultivate 1 was already their limit. Even Hong Yi's body was so strong, he could only absorb 1. There was no way for them to withstand even 1 more. At this time, Li Yuanba, Lin Yusheng, Li Wuxin, and the rest all fell silent. A burning passion suddenly flashed across his eyes. Boss is right. This sort of thing absolutely cannot happen again. We're the boss's Vajra. We wanted to sweep away the brambles for the boss, but we were held back time and time again. This is too embarrassing. Come, this time, let's go all out in our cultivation. The next time we come out, we must make sure that the name of our 8 great King Kong will be remembered in the starry sky. Li Yuanba said, No and us. If we want to stay in this space, we only have one code name, and that's the Invincible Warlord. Li Wuxin said, Yes, we are the Invincible Warlords under the Lord. Zhang Yu was also very calm. The remaining people's eyes were also full of fighting spirit. Initially, they felt indignant in their hearts. If this continued, it would be too excruciating. But now, all of them felt as if they had been injected with chicken blood. At this time, Lu Luoxi and the rest had also come forward and looked at Long Fei affectionately for a moment, and then said firmly, Hubby, open up a space for us. This time we will be closed off. Until you reach the pinnacle of your cultivation, you will never come out. Lu Luoxi said. Long Fei wanted to nod his head, but with a quick thought, he started to shake his head frantically. No rush. The road that you're going to take now is the road that you have walked before. I am giving you the seal, and it is also enough for you to remove all the seals for a short period of time. Long Fei said, looking at the few women in the eyes. A meaningful look flashed past his eyes. The girls also instantly understood. Their faces turned red, and they immediately turned around, not saying a word. However, Hong Autumn Leaf had a puzzled look on her face. But after seeing their expressions, he understood what was going on and secretly spat. Rascal. However, Long Fei laughed loudly and was in an excellent mood. After all, even though the outcome of this battle looked bumpy, it was still a good result. At least no one suffered any injuries. But right at this moment, Long Fei's eyes looked towards the endless starry sky and fell silent. Jojo, Lan Mei, Su Su, Blood Moon. And you guys, I'll definitely get you guys back. Long Fei secretly made up his mind. Everyone was reunited, so there shouldn't be a shortage. What Long Fei had strived for in his life was to protect. Therefore, in his heart, there was not a single person who could be missing. Furthermore, Long Fei had already decided that he would construct a holy land of his own in this starry sky. And the world where the world of the Star Demon world was located was the best choice. Basically, it was next to the center of the myriad worlds, filled with dense natural elemental energy. More importantly, this place was already the sphere of influence of the Star Demon world. The small and invincible law of devouring could be maximized here, allowing them to advance, to attack, and to retreat. If anyone dared to trespass, as long as the law of devouring was used, it could be isolated from the outside world. With that in mind, Long Shu went straight to Hong Yi and told him his thoughts. Hearing this, Hong Yi's eyes lit up. He was extremely excited. Haha. I already knew long ago that you weren't the master of peace. Well said. What can the 10,000 worlds do? I was born free. I cultivated to ask for longevity, to search for the Tao. Who cares who it is? So what if you were a noble realm? What can you do about a 10,000 worlds? Brad, it's done. Hong Yi laughed and said, supporting Long Fei's decision by 100. Following that, Long Fei expressed his thoughts to everyone. Haha. I was wondering why Patriarch Hong Yi was so excited. Boss, let's do it. Building a foundation here is also a place for us to settle down. After so many years, we still have not found a place to rest in this world. Yeah, boss, there's no need to hesitate. As long as you decide on it, there's no mistake. Li Yuanba and the rest said. Long Fei's heart trembled. His heart was in pain from Li Yuanba's words. They had fought for many years, but there was no place for them. This sentence was the truest portrayal of his entire life. Thinking about that, he looked at Lu Luoxi and the rest. Seeing them, his heart was filled with guilt. All right, since that's the case, then this place shall be the starting point for me, Long Fei, in this 10,000 worlds land. With that, Long Fei moved his hands. Catch the star and get the moon. In the blink of an eye, 365 incomparably resplendent stars were formed. On this star, every single one of them contained an extremely violent power. Following that, Long Fei's figure disappeared. Traversing the starry sky, he caught 2 incomparably large stars. one as the sun and one as the moon. This process was extremely complicated, but in Long Fei's hands, it was easy to do. After the stars were set up, Long Fei captured 14,000 more little stars, filling the void. In the end, he directly used the method of refining the void to refine the entire star demon world. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days passed. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days passed. For the next 7 days, Long Fei did not rest nor stop. Little unrivaled super hottie had been surrounding Long Fei from start to finish, and when he looked at Long Fei from top to bottom, his eyes were filled with admiration. Hong Yi did not stay idle either and began to lead Jiang Chunxiu and company in building the palace. As for Li Yuanba and the others, they directly went into closed-door cultivation. At that moment, Long Fei stood in the air with his back facing the sky. In his eyes, countless stars were twinkling. It was as if the entire world was contained within his eyes. His hands are moving slower and slower. Back then, Long Batian dared to create a dragon court in this 10,000 worlds land. Then today Long Fei, will also dare to do the same. Long Fei's heart felt a jolt, and an unparalleled domineering aura filled the heaven and earth. Immediately after, Long Fei channeled all the energy in his body and looked into the sky. From today onwards, Long Fei, will establish the dragon court in this myriad realms land. If anyone in the myriad realms doesn't accept this, they can come straight to the battlefield. Long Fei said in a serious tone. His voice spread far and wide. No. In other words, this time, it directly spread to the entire 10,000 worlds. Even though the world of 10,000 worlds was boundless, Long Fei had used his own power of laws to make this declaration. Relying on his god of boundary and his current rule in this 10,000 worlds land. In the underworld, there was already a close connection with the 10,000 worlds. As such, this one sentence directly spread across the entire world. For a moment, Long Fei's words stirred this 10,000 worlds wind cloud, the center of the 10,000 realms, within the palace of the noble realms. The palm struck down fiercely, turning a large area of buildings into ashes. Dragon Court? You dare to cast a dragon court? That year, even that old bastard Long Batian failed. You, a lame duck, actually dared to walk on the path that Long Batian walked on? He's really overestimating himself. Honorable Zhou was infuriated, but his eyes were gloomy. Streams of cold and killing intent burst out from his body. Below, all the people of the noble world lowered their heads, not daring to look into Zun Huang's eyes. His heart trembled uncontrollably. Right at this time, a figure walked out from the crowd. After kneeling, he said, "Master, let me do it. This time, I will definitely kill this little bastard Long Fei. All the humiliation he has inflicted on me, I will take back." This man was the Emperor Xian. Of course, this time it should be called Mystic Heaven. Zun Zhou's expression slightly darkened. He casually glanced at Xian Tian and said, "No need. Regarding Long Fei, this sovereign has already made the arrangements. Remember what I told you. This marriage is no small matter. Furthermore, I can tell you in a very responsible manner that holy maiden from the Phoenix clan is actually Long Fei's woman. Don't you think that we have stolen Long Fei's woman? Letting your woman moan at your crotch. Is that even more fulfilling than killing Long Fei?" Honorable Zhou said. Xian Tian was stunned, but soon after his eyes revealed a dark ruthlessness and an abnormal feeling as he laughed wildly. "Ha! Your Excellency is indeed wise. Little bastard, this time, I will make you beg for death, beg for death. Moreover, I will train you to be a good wife, and this time, I will make you live a life worse than death." Xian Tian said he silently took a step back, and at this time, where the power of the Phoenix realm was located in the 10,000 worlds, Jojo was already in tears. "Big brother Long Fei, you finally came. You're fine, you're fine. That's great. I'm going to find you." Jojo was so excited that his eyes shone with tears of happiness. It had been too long since they had last met, and hearing Long Fei's voice once again was simply a heavy burden on her soul. For a moment, he had no more thoughts. What marriage? What race? Everything had been forgotten. At this moment, she only had one thought in her mind, and that was to find Long Fei. However, just as she opened the door, she was stopped. Holy Maiden, the marriage is about to happen. If there's nothing else, then don't come out, the Phoenix Clan elder coldly said. Jojo's expression turned cold, and a bad premonition suddenly emerged in his heart. What is it? If I want to leave, would you dare to stop me? Jojo said coldly. Since the Holy Maiden is so high up, I naturally don't dare to stop her. However, do you think you can break through the formation set up by the Master? Unless you don't want this Phoenix blood vein. But even if you cripple your own blood vein, you still won't be able to escape death. Thus, this old one suggests that you should obediently return, the Phoenix Clan elder said. Hearing this, Jojo's face was filled with unwillingness. Master, why did you treat me like this? Didn't he promise me that as long as Big Brother Long Fei can come to the 10,000 world, he will let us reunite? Jojo screamed in dissatisfaction. However, what greeted them was endless ridicule. Reunion? Haha, Holy Maiden, you are too naive. A single Long Fei is nothing at all. The more cocky he is, the faster he'll die. Do you think that you can spare a person who challenges his dignity? Impossible. This old one advises you to just obediently give up on this idea, the Phoenix Clan elder said. At the same time, a streak of fiery light appeared out of nowhere in the air. Immediately afterwards, the Phoenix Clan Master S slowly walked out. Child, I've always been doing what I promised you. Otherwise, how do you think Long Fei was able to survive the conquest of 10,000 realms? If it wasn't for this old one, he wouldn't have survived, Phoenix Master said, creating something out of nothing. But Jojo was too naive and did not doubt his words at all. Master, Jojo cried his heart out, but it was completely useless. So, now is the time for you to fulfill your promise. After you make the marriage alliance, this old one will open his mouth and beg for Long Fei's life. Now are you satisfied? The Phoenix Clan Master said. Jojo crazily shook her head as tears continued to flow from her eyes. But then, he nodded again. Master, you must save Big Brother Long Fei. Jojo, I'll agree to all of them, Jojo said. Only now did the Phoenix Clan's master nod his head in satisfaction. Clang! The figure of the Phoenix Clan's master disappeared, and the door closed instantly. Just that, what Jojo did not know was that when the door got used to it, many restrictions were immediately thrown out from the hands of the Yi Huang ancestor. Long Fei, you must die. If you don't die, this old one's grand plan will never be realized. Of course, the impact of Long Fei's words simply wasn't limited to just these. At this time, other than the noble world and the Phoenix realm, as well as the 10,000 beast realm, Star Demon realm, and a few other super strong realms that were not available to Long Fei, the rest of the Northern Dipper realm. At this moment, a huge uproar was stirred up. Impudent, truly too arrogant. Fight? How arrogant? Is he trying to provoke us 10,000 worlds to show our dignity? I can't tolerate this. A little bastard from the ancient world actually dares to be so arrogant. One furious roar after another sounded out. There was even a meeting between the few great super god of Boundary S. However, other than the curses, they were all useless topics. As for the battle itself, no one dared to speak up. But at this moment, Long Fei's voice sounded for the second time, causing them to instantly turn pale. At this time, within the Dragon Hall, Long Fei stood tall in the air. His eyes were sharp and sharp. His pupils were like sharp blades, slicing through the air as he slowly spoke. However, I'd already guessed that none of you would dare. So, in a few days, I, Long Fei, and the Lord of the Dragon Court will go to war with each other and annihilate all the realms. What was Berserk? What was Berserk? What was arrogance? What was arrogance? Was the best explanation. Berserk beyond compare, established in the intersecting of 10,000 worlds, known as the Dragon Court's master. He wasn't even afraid of the heavens. Fight! These 4 words directly expressed Long Fei's attitude. Below 1,000 god of boundary had long since prostrated themselves under Long Fei's madness. His heart thumped. There were even some whose eyes were brimming with tears. At this time, it was as if they were part of a faction that had suffered a lot of oppression. Now that Long Fei had risen to prominence, they finally felt the charm of dignity. Ha! I knew that Lord would not let us down. That's right. Lord, your words are awesome. This time, we must follow my Lord's footsteps in battle against the heavens and the earth, fighting for the name of the Dragon Court. Each and every one of the 1,000 god of boundaries surged, their emotions stirred by Long Fei's words. This time, they had finally managed to take back a city. He had to take the initiative. For a moment, all of the gazes on the entire Dragon Hall were fixated on Long Fei. Even Lu Luoxi, Li Yuanba, and the others who were cultivating behind closed doors came out. Looking at Long Fei, who was standing proudly in the sky, their hearts were filled with yearning. They knew that Long Fei never felt lonely. This starry sky was vast, and there would be a day when there would be a legend about Long Fei flying in the sky. Of course, Long Fei's words also conveyed a message. That was Long Fei was about to leave. And at this moment, Long Fei's figure appeared. Looking at the scene in front of him, the eyes of the mighty dragon court was twinkling. The dragon's ancestral court would become the resting place for him to battle against the heavens. From today onwards, he would no longer be a rootless duckweed. Ha! Good. After today, I, Long Fei, will be the master of the dragon court. What supreme realm? What 10,000 worlds? Annihilate them all. Long Fei said in a clear voice. But this time, it was determination. Unlike before, his previous words were a declaration of war on the heavens. Here, however, was a promise for his brothers and his woman. When the 1,000 god of boundary heard Long Fei's words, their eyes filled with fighting spirit. All of them wished for nothing more than to attack right now and grind their fists. Also, Li Yuanba's face was filled with unwillingness. Boss, can we wait? The power in your seal is currently in our bodies, and we're only halfway through refining it. Right now, we can't help much. You can't just run out and let us watch, can you? Li Yuanba said. There was a hint of sincerity in his words. However, most of them were worried. Even if Long Fei was ridiculously strong now, they would not forget their mission, and that was to protect. As brothers with Long Fei, how could they accept it? They wanted Long Fei to fight alone, but in their hearts, how could they? However, Long Fei smiled. Don't worry, you guys can make your move at any time. Long Fei said. Moreover, since the Dragon Court was first established, that group of bastards from the 10,000 realms would definitely not ignore it. A group of conceited, aloof, and foolish people. How could they tolerate a person from the ancient world making decisions in a court in a world of 10,000? They may be here soon. When I was setting up the heavens, I had already smelted a formation inside. Even if they wanted to break through it, they would need a certain amount of time. And this period of time is what is left for you. Long Fei continued to speak as his gaze shifted towards the few women. Within his boundless tenderness, there were also some traces of gratification. After so many years, they finally had some peace and stability. Then, hubby, why don't you just stay here? Even if they come, they're just clowns. If we don't attack, they won't be able to come in. Can't we just stay here? Lu Luoxi said. His eyes were filled with worry. They knew Long Fei too well. They simply did not believe what Long Fei had said before. It was simply meant to comfort them, and their real purpose was to let them train in peace. Long Fei's expression froze as a wave of helplessness grew in his heart. But he still said, Don't worry. In this world, the person who can take my life hasn't come out yet. I don't want to die. Even if the king of hell came, I would have to go back crying. Long Fei said with determination. If he wanted a pure land, the only way was to kill. As for saying that he was safe, Long Fei did not believe it at all. Just as he had said, just now, even if he didn't go and attack the 10,000 worlds, there would naturally be people who destroyed the Dragon Court. These were the rules. Being weak was the original sin. Being strong meant being able to control everything. Especially after experiencing the matters of the Star Demon world, Long Fei did not want to repeat the same mistake again. That was why he wanted to take the initiative. Lu Luoxi heard and sighed. She also understood what Long Fei meant. After experiencing so many things, she was no longer that kind little girl from back then. Then when are you planning to leave? Lu Luoxi asked. Long Fei's heart trembled. These words made Long Fei feel like it was going to split. But he was clear that this was not the time for a girl to grow up. If he wanted to be truly safe, he had to kill all his enemies and schemes with blood. Thinking about it, Long Fei made up his mind and said, "In a few days." Long Fei's eyes flashed and no longer circled around them. He was afraid that the longer he read about it, the more he couldn't bear to do so. And it was also at this time that little unrivaled figure was already moving unhindered above the dragon court. As he played around, his gaze locked onto Long Fei. "Dad, are we going out again? How about you take me with you?" Little Unrivaled said. But Long Fei shook his head. "Little bastard, didn't Lousy already say to guard the dragon court?" Long Fei chuckled as he carried Xiao Wudi in his arms and stared at him seriously. "Promise, father, that you will protect your mother and father," Long Fei said as he gently patted Little Unrivaled's head. Even though Little Unrivaled Super Hottie was confused when he felt the warmth of Long Fei's palm, the expression on his face instantly disappeared and was replaced with a serious and respectful look full of ritual. "Don't worry, old man. As long as I'm here, the dragon court will definitely not appear," Little Unrivaled said with a serious look on his face. As for Long Fei, he absolutely would not think that one day in the future, Little Unrivaled would become a prophetic, and with his young body, he would be able to suppress the entire universe. Of course, that was something to be said later. As for Long Fei, he had an extremely good understanding with the few girls, and after a warm night, taking advantage of the fact that the stars had yet to brighten, he had already traversed the void. This time, it was still only Jiang Chunxiu and Wang Yan. He didn't even bring 1,000 god of boundary. But even so, the moment Long Fei walked out of the dragon courtyard alone, the battle horn had already sounded. In an instant, the 10,000 worlds began to move. In an instant, it became extremely chaotic. It was for no other reason, but because of Long Fei's name. He's finally going to make his move. The god of boundary of the divine realm, the immortal trail realm, the Dust Peter realm, the heaven origin sector, the mad tyrant realm, and the 6 realms of the angry sea realm once again began an urgent meeting. This sentence was a clear indication of the arrival of a dark time in the starry sky. This sentence was a clear indication of the arrival of a dark time in the starry sky. Previously, Long Fei said that he would go to war with the starry sky. Although they were not convinced and thought that Long Fei was just bragging, they could not believe him. But when the truth came to fruition, Long Fei would first step onto the road of stars. All of them were incomparably nervous. It was a flurry of attacks. The 10,000 Beast God of Boundary, the Big Dipper God of Boundary, and the Star Demon God of Boundary were examples of examples. Especially the Star Demon God of Boundary. Its power was much stronger than theirs. Such a powerful existence. Yet they were still in the hands of Long Fei and had not escaped death. What could they count as? He didn't dare to fight head-on. No, Long Fei is too strong. We can't stop it at all. I never would have thought that a piece of trash that I never even put in my eyes would have this kind of method. You actually dare to establish the Dragon Court in the middle of space. What we have to think about now is what do we do? Senior Huang's power is naturally not afraid of Long Fei. But what about us? All of the God of Boundary S were in a state of panic. Some were sighing with emotion, some were panicking, and some were filled with endless hatred. Panic was written all over his face. As for Long Fei leaving the Dragon Court, as they were the God of Boundary of a super strong realm, they naturally had something to do with the starry sky, so they could feel it with just a thought. However, it was fundamentally impossible to find out where Long Fei had gone to. Right now, what they were afraid of was that Long Fei would find their own world. Time and time again, had already proven that as long as Long Fei found them, there would not be any indestructible ones. So right now, what they feared the most was that it would be their turn next. The only way now is for us to join hands and have a chance at survival. Yes, moreover, our world can no longer stay. The battle for the god of boundary has already become a joke, so it seems that we can only pray for the Venerable One's help. There's nothing we can do. Let's head to the center of the all-world. Their faces darkened as they finally made their decision. At this time, they didn't dare to face Long Fei head-on, unless they didn't want to live anymore. Right now, Long Fei's name was like the sun in the sky. In a short period of time, the three strongest realms had been destroyed, and the god of boundary under his command, the 10,000 worlds, had been completely wiped out. The god of boundary had long ago concealed all the arrogance in his heart. All he wanted to do was dodge. Even the words he had shouted before were just for show. For a time, the six figures pierced through the air, disappearing from sight. At this time, Long Fei and the other two had already traversed the void. However, this time, he had returned to the 10,000 beast world. At this time, the 10,000 beast world had already returned to nothingness. It was a void in space to begin with, and all the existences here were valued because of the 10,000 beast world. Since the 10,000 beast world was berserked by Long Fei, then in this world there was nothing left. Lord, why are we here in the 10,000 beast world? Didn't they say that we were going to stir up the 10,000 worlds? Wang Yun looked puzzled. This time, Long Fei brought him out of the dragon courtyard. Wang Yun's fighting spirit burst out. He wanted to follow Long Fei and fight him alone in this world, only to be annihilated by him. But they never would have thought that Long Fei would actually bring them to such a world that had long since disappeared into nothingness. Don't worry, it's just a bunch of clowns. Moreover, even if we go to the world they live in, it would still be an empty city. They wouldn't dare. Long Fei said indifferently. His eyes were filled with contempt. From the moment he established the dragon court, his perception of the starry sky had already surpassed everything else. With regards to the 6 super strong realms heading to the center of the 10,000 realms, Long Fei could also sense them from the bottom of his heart. In other words, in the current 9 heavens and 10,000 worlds, other than the Phoenix realm and the center of 10,000 worlds, which was where they gathered, the remaining places were already non-existent. The god of boundary was no more. All that was left were some trash. Long Fei was not interested in all this. Even these super strong realms god of boundary were at most not ancient level bosses. There were at most 10 billion experience points here and there, but to Long Fei, who had over 100 billion life experience points, they were nothing at all. After all, he still had countless experience elixir in his possession. The only effect of these god of boundary was probably the power of the laws of the 9 heavens and 10 earth. But these things are dead. As long as these god of boundary are alive, one day, those powers will belong to Long Fei as well. Compared to it, the true power of the 13 emperors of the ancient world in this space made Long Fei want to obtain it more urgently. Just the 4 big words ancient world was enough to cause Long Fei to be interested in him. Furthermore, they were all Long Baishan's subordinates. Now, the dragon scale that contained Long Baishan's was resuscitated, causing Long Fei to feel as if his words were stuck in his throat. Compared to Long Baishan's threat, any transcendent realm, 10,000 realms, all of them were bullshit. Thus, unlocking the secrets of the 13 great emperors was already extremely urgent. At the moment, the 10,000 beast world was won. As they spoke, the 3 of them had arrived. In front of them was an incomparably vast abyss that they wanted to explore before. At this moment, Jiang Chunxiu and Wang Yun's faces were filled with fear. Because of their experiences in the meteor world, they had already developed fear for this mysterious existence. Master, are we really going to enter this place? Jiang Chunxiu asked tentatively. That's right. No need to say anything. If you don't dare to go, just wait outside. Long Fei said indifferently as he glanced at Jiang Chunxiu. Instantly, Jiang Chunxiu had a stupefied expression as he hurriedly said, My lord, what I mean is, if we enter here for too long, won't the people of your realm want the dragon court? Jiang Chunxiu said. Don't worry, right now. No matter if it's my son or Hong, their combat power is not something that an ordinary super god of boundary can compare to. Unless Master Zhou chooses to take action personally, nothing unexpected will happen. Long Fei said indifferently. He was extremely confident. If not for this kind of backing, Long Fei would not have let them stay in the Dragon Court. Therefore, Long Fei was afraid that the people of the 10,000 realms would not dare to go. In addition, the reason why he said he would attack the myriad worlds was to attract their attention. After saying that, Long Fei no longer hesitated, his eyes fixed as he immersed himself into the endless abyss. He then leaped up and directly jumped inside. In the blink of an eye, his body disappeared. Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu looked at each other, took a deep breath, and chased after him. Whoosh! Once he entered the abyss, the endless wind whistled by his ears like the roar of a beast. Long Fei strolled through the courtyard, controlling everything calmly. His eyes constantly flickered as he continued to observe the entire journey in his mind. Who could it be? Long Fei pondered in his heart. But right now, he simply could not feel any aura at all. But no matter who it was, Long Fei would never stop. Then, the 13 human kings would do it one by one. Light swirled and vanished. Light swirled and vanished. As time passed, the speed at which Long Fei and the other two were falling became slower and slower. At this moment, the sky was dark and the earth was dark. All Light had no destiny with this place. What he saw was a world of darkness. It was as if darkness was the only topic of discussion here. Not only that, this aura of darkness was shuttling back and forth, causing Long Fei's perception to continuously drop. Humph! With a cold snort, the aura on Long Fei's body shook. A flame appeared in his hand. However, as soon as the light appeared, it was instantly swallowed up by darkness. Not a trace was left. Long Fei's eyes focused, and, as if he was unwilling to give up, he once again condensed a pale fire. However, the outcome was still as expected. It was instantly extinguished. Sir, this place is very strange. This aura is very cold. It seems to be similar to the power of the meteorite world, perhaps even more tyrannical. I can actually feel that my life expectancy is constantly shrinking. Life expectancy was different from life force. Life was an unreal existence. Back then, when he was still in the lower planes of the ancient world, Long Fei had refined life essence. But at that time, everything was in the hands of the god of fate. But now, not to mention him, even Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu, any one of them could dominate the ancient world. Even the Emperor Xian from back then wouldn't be able to boast in front of the two of them. In other words, they already had limitless lifespan. Heaven and earth will perish while I will not perish. The sun and moon will decay, and I will be immortal. Withering and blooming had long since transcended the outside world. Who could control their lifespan? Who would dare to determine their lifespan? But now, the strangeness of this place was devouring their lifespan. Even Long Fei could not remain calm. Furthermore, Long Fei could also feel that a certain type of power was also constantly breaking through his physical body's defense, wanting to wreak havoc inside. If it wasn't for the fact that his physical body was too powerful, he probably wouldn't have been able to withstand it. Devouring lifespan? Among the 13 great emperors, is there a place that exists? Long Fei was shocked, and he became cautious. However, right at this moment, a heavy step sounded out, causing the entire space to rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In an instant, countless spatial support points collapsed. With just a slight mistake, Long Fei and the other two immediately fell down. Damn, are they going to be buried alive? Long Fei's heart stirred, and with a flip, he immediately seized back his control. However, Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu were not so lucky. They could not withstand the suppression from this kind of power, and their bodies continued to fall. Long Fei's eyes were extremely cold. He had wanted to see what kind of existence it was, but seeing the reaction of the two, he shook his head and jumped down. In that instant, Long Fei propped them up with both his hands, preventing them from continuing to descend. But at that moment, another heavy step sounded out. He pressed down heavily. Wang Yun and Jiang Chuanqiu's bodies instantly bent forward as they vomited blood. Even Long Fei felt his shoulders sink, as if the entire sky had caved in. The heck, there's no end to it, right? I'd like to see what exactly it is. Long Fei roared angrily as a streak of moss-green flame appeared in his hands once more. A fire. This was something that the system drew when they were still in Ancient World. It had never disappeared. In fact, it was even more exuberant. The fiery light in the craggy area seemed to be connected to Long Fei's mind, jumping about on Long Fei's palm. And this time, the entire dark space was instantly filled with light. Firewood. Ha ha ha. The firewood won't be extinguished. The item unearthed by the system is awesome. Long Fei's heart was overjoyed. With a thought, this fire was immediately thrown into the air by Long Fei. In the blink of an eye, the fire rose as boundless light appeared, illuminating the darkness and lighting up the entire room. None of the dark corners existed. Roar. At this time, an angry roar could be heard. Long Fei was shocked. He raised his gaze and saw an indescribably huge beast filling the air. It was incomparably huge. Compared to the star demon that was transformed into the star demon god of boundary, he did not cower in the slightest. What was even more terrifying was that the body of the gigantic beast was filled with dense, decaying power. It was as if he weren't a deity at all, but an existence that had been dead for countless years. Wang Yun and Jiang Chunqiu also came back to their senses at this moment and came over to Long Fei's side. Undead? The undead behemoth? Lord, what is this? The two of them were horrified, their pupils filled with fear. Xiao Yan's eyes were lacerated as he stared intently at the enormous beast in the sky. Long Fei muttered to himself and did not say a word. It wasn't that he didn't want to say it, but he also didn't know what it was. Even the system could not tell what it was. There was no boss light and no description of its attributes. It was as if this object was not a living being at all. Arg, damn you, you actually dared to charge into the Forbidden Zone. At the same time, the huge beast opened its mouth and terrifying energy exploded from its body. Long Fei's expression became even more complicated because at this moment, he actually felt 3 different powers from the undead giant beast's body. Decaying power, power of immortality. And it was the power of the Nether Enlightenment. For a moment, Long Fei was stunned senseless. He just couldn't understand what was going on. However, the undead behemoth in the sky simply did not give Long Fei any time to think. After its roar, a pair of tentacles that were comparable to pillars of heaven directly fell from the sky. Boom! Rumble! Rumble! 3 types of power instantly exploded out, engulfing the entire space. The corner of Long Fei's mouth moved. A cold intent exploded forth. As he turned around, he pushed Jiang Chunqiu and Wang Yun to the side, then swung his spear backwards. Boom! Suddenly, a thunderous rumble resounded for tens of thousands of miles, and a gigantic tentacle instantly formed a fortress. A myriad of indescribable objects fell from the sky. Long Fei's eyes flashed a look of disdain. He waved his long spear and whirled, forming a barrier that protected his entire body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Blood rained down from the sky. It was extremely corrosive. All the energy that it touched was completely annihilated by the undead beast's power. However, it could not touch Long Fei at all. Long Fei tried to cut it off as if it was from another world, and it was invulnerable to all. Furthermore, in the sky, the power of fire also exploded at this moment. It was as if they could feel the anger in Long Fei's heart growing even hotter as they burned the heavens and the earth. In just an instant, all of this energy was melted away, disappearing without a trace. Seeing this scene, Long Fei's heart was at ease. As he raised his head, he was already prepared to take the initiative and attack. Interesting. Looks like the ancient emperor isn't as simple as I thought. To be able to fuse the power of 3 emperors into one, this is truly amazing. However, that is all. No matter how much power you have, you will not be able to stop me. Kill. Long Fei pointed his spear towards the sky. Long Fei pointed his spear towards the sky. Pa 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 pa. 9 thrust to the sky. He did not hold back at all. Rumble, rumble. At the same time, in the air, the undead behemoth let out a furious roar. Roar! A rain of rotting flesh and blood rained down from the sky. The power of the decaying power, the power of nether, and the power of longevity instantly interweaved, causing the entire space to fluctuate and become extremely berserk. At this moment, the power of fire erupted as well. Boom! The fiery light burned the void as though the sun was in the sky. The flames seemed to contain supreme will as they swept through the void. Crack! 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 Countless crisp sounds exploded in the air. Under the shine of the fire, these energies could be seen with the naked eye, disappearing without a trace. Long Fei's eyes were filled with satisfaction. Awesome! I always thought that this was an insignificant item in the system. I never would have thought that he would be this powerful. Could he still be the nemesis of the 13 Emperors? The more he thought about it, the more excited Long Fei became. If that was the case, then this trip would be even faster. This was because from the most ancient world onwards, this world, shining firewood, had never disappointed Long Fei. In the broken plane of the Abyss Demon Prison, the everlasting tomb was as charming as a ghost. Now, he was shining brilliantly in this place where the 10,000 worlds intersected. It was like he had been connected to his own power for a long time. Furthermore, the power of this world shining firework was countless times stronger than it had been in the beginning. This was what truly shocked Long Fei. In other words, this was a type of power. It was not some system item. Thinking of this, Long Fei's heart was at ease. And at this moment, the undead beast in the sky was completely enraged. Long Fei's enormous body was already riddled with thousands of holes, and countless of power tyrannically surged out. The system also displayed his attributes. 3 Emperor Corpse Worm, Ancient Boss. Health, Infinite plus Defense 1 billion. Attack Skill, Lifesteal Tentacle. Description, a species derived from the power of the 3 Emperor's corpses. Extremely evil, able to extend the lifespan of many people and increase their strength. Seeing such a system, in a second, Long Fei's eyes lit up. At the same time, the corpse insects of the 3 Emperors began to glow with the light of a wild boss, which was incredibly dazzling. Instantly, Long Fei got excited. This boss's light was even more powerful than the light emitted by Great Emperor Fallen Land. Corpse worms of the 3 Emperors. Could it be that this is the fusion body of the 3 Emperors? Instantly, a shrewd look flashed across Long Fei's eyes. He hadn't expected this at all. He had thought that it was the monster guarding this space, but he didn't expect it to be a super boss. Do it! Long Fei's killing intent surged in his heart. He never lowered his head in the face of a boss. It was Long Fei's usual rule. Below, Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu also came over. At this moment, their expressions were extremely ugly. It could be said that under the pressure of these 3 Emperor Corpse Worms, they had become dispirited. His cultivation was still strong. However, the feeling he gave others was that he was about to die. Streams of invisible power were gradually extracted from their bodies like cocoons. However, under the power of the illustrious flame, this kind of existence could not be hidden from Long Fei's eyes. My lord, what in the world was this? I feel like my life force is about to be completely devoured, Wang Yun said, his eyes filled with extreme terror. Jiang Chunxiu did the same as he looked at Long Fei with a pleading gaze. It's fine, it's just the power derived from a few old things that even rotted away their bones. Flames that shine in the world combust, he shouted loudly. Immediately, 2 streaks of fiery light descended from the sky like fire. In an instant, they devoured the silhouettes of Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu. In an instant, the strange power from their bodies was directly pulled out by the power of the world's firework. Wang Yun's and Jiang Chuanqiu's expressions changed as a joyous expression appeared on their faces. Master, what exactly is this thing? How could there be such a strong power? Wang Yun asked. Even though they had recovered their strength and their lifespan had stopped running out, the two of them were still very afraid of this kind of thing. This is a boss, Long Fei said. No more explanation. In any case, even if he said it, it would be of no use. With Wang Yun and Jiang Chuanqiu's experiences, it was simply impossible to imagine just what kind of concept an Emperor Corpse would have. Wang Yun and Jiang Chuanqiu were stunned. They simply did not understand what Long Fei meant by a boss. Just as he wanted to ask, he was interrupted by the corpse insects of the three emperors. The aura of the ancient world. You have come from the ancient world. Finally, I see the light of day again. I originally thought that the person who received our inheritance would come here. To think that it would actually be someone from the ancient world who came here. There are two foreign god of boundary S. Their strength is also fine. Today, it is finally the time for the three of us to reappear in this world. The three Emperor Corpse worms coldly said, as if they were waking up from a daze. Long Fei's expression also changed. Sure enough, everything was exactly as he had expected. These three Emperor Corpse worms were the combination of the three ancient emperors. Reforming the heavens and the earth is impossible. Today, in front of your father, all of you will die. Long Fei said. So what if it was the three emperors' corpse? Long Fei came here to uncover the secrets of the 13 emperors. Not to mention the things formed by the three emperors' corpses. Even if all the remaining 12 ancient emperors fused together, Long Fei was not afraid in the slightest. On the contrary, he swept his gaze across them. What a brazen brat. When we roamed the world, you still didn't know we were playing with mud. You dare to be arrogant in front of this emperor now? Don't fail to appreciate favors. We didn't wake up just now, so you were able to succeed. Do you think you're still our match? Impossible. The power of the three emperors, the power of all living things, will tremble. Three voices sounded one after another. Arrogant beyond compare, as lofty as ever, his eyes devoid of everything. The corner of Long Fei's mouth moved, revealing a cold smile. Didn't wake up just now? Right now, the Emperor's will was being restored? So what? Of the 9 strikes of fallen abyss, it was only the most ordinary of the methods that he currently controlled. With that thought, Long Fei raised his head and said, So what? In the end, the 3 Emperor Corpse worms are still a reptile. The reason why you were able to move about unhindered was only because it was not my era. Long Fei said with determination. It was incomparably domineering. Not your era? What an arrogant brat. You're really King crazy. Even more arrogant than adults back then. If it was back then, this emperor could have killed you with a backhand. For the sake of your arrogance, this emperor decides to be the first to eliminate you and let you become my personal concubine. One voice after another sounded. But this time, Long Fei did not speak. With a flip of his hand, he kept his spear. Cut the crap. Lousy was able to beat up these reptiles before. Now I can destroy him. 7-star fist Tian Quan. Long Fei said, and immediately threw a punch. Long Fei said, and immediately threw a punch. In an instant, the Big Dipper diagram floated above Long Fei's head. Boom! The stars flashed. Amongst them, the light of the Migres star that belonged to the Big Dipper suddenly shone brightly. A mini Long Fei-like little person took the lead and punched out. Immediately after, the remaining 6 also took fists, channeling all of their star power into Long Fei's hands. Boom! In the next moment, Long Fei's fist swept across the land. It was as if the power of the entire world was contained in this punch. Rumble, 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 rumble. Long Fei's fist rushed forward, straight towards the 3 Emperor Corpse worms. At this moment, the 3 Emperor Corpse worms began to squirm uneasily. Astral energy? How is this possible? Who from the outside realms has ever developed a constellation? No, that's not right. This is the power of the laws. The stars have already given birth to the natural laws. Touch of decay, touch of life, the claws of the underworld's soul. In an instant, three voices simultaneously burst forth from the corpse worms of the three emperors. He was filled with terror. Shwa shwa shwa. In the blink of an eye, countless tentacles came out from the three zombies. The heavens and the earth shook, and a thunderous roar filled the air like a giant pillar. And Long Fei, at this moment, was even more berserk. His gaze was like the burning of star. Tian Shu, Yao Guang, Tian Xian, Kai Yang, Yuheng, Fekta, seven-star fist. Not a single person remained. In addition, each punch was more berserk than the last. Boom, boom, boom. The fist shadows collided with the tens of thousands of tentacles in the air. Power burst out, exploding in succession in the void. Countless attacks directly shattered. What decaying power, what power of longevity, what power of nether. At this moment, it was all useless. In front of Long Fei's absolutely berserking strength, it was basically useless. Walala. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Countless tentacles turned into fine powder, mixing with the flesh and falling into the air. Impossible. How is this possible? What kind of power is this? I don't believe it, but it has only been 1 trillion years since it was born. How can it have this kind of power? 3 thunderous booms rang out. The 3 emperors' corpse worms were completely stupefied. After being beaten so violently by Long Fei, his entire body had also shrunk severely. TL. Before, it was so huge that one could not even see the outline of it. But now, after Long Fei unleashed his berserk 7-star fist, his entire 3-emperor corpse worm had suddenly shrunk and became tens of thousands of tentacles. However, there was no change in Long Fei's eyes at this moment. The killing intent remained, especially after seeing the 3 emperor corpse worms suddenly shrink so much. His eyes twitched, and he retrieved the god of Boundary Blade with a flip of his hand. Raging Dragon's Town, Long Fei shouted. Taking advantage of the time when he was sick to kill him was Long Fei's rule. In the blink of an eye, the dragon roared and soared into the sky. Roar! The 10,000-foot-long dragon flew out and circled around the entire sky, directly entangling itself with the 3 corpse emperor. Dragon. It wasn't just the shadow of the dragon clan and the will of the dragon clan. Kid, who are you? In an instant, a stern voice came from the corpse worms of the 3 emperors, filled with shock. It was even more astonishing than the terrifying power of the 7-star fist that he had faced from Long Fei earlier. I don't need you to guess who I am. Anyway, it's not Long Baishan's scheming be *tch. Long Fei said coldly. Long Fei already knew that the 13 great emperors were Long Baishan's henchmen. Thus, they were not the least bit surprised by the shock they were showing. Impudent, he actually insulted our Lord. As descendants of the dragon race, don't you know that we are the invincible generals of the Lord? If not for us, the ancient world would have collapsed. And waiting is to commit a crime, is to disrespect and disrespect. The voices of the 3 emperors rang out once again. It was filled with rage. However, to Long Fei, it was useless. Offend? Not respectful? If Long Batian is really an ancient world protector, I will accept it too. However, do you think that a scheming bitch would be willing to submit to me? It doesn't exist. Moreover, I will be the guardian of the current ancient world. If you can't hold on, then don't act tough. Long Fei said indifferently. There was no mercy. It could be said that in regards to Long Batian, Long Fei's heart was truly unable to feel any form of gratitude, even though he'd relied on Long Tianba's experience to escape danger a few times. Furthermore, it was because Long Batian had obtained the core of the Great Way of the Buddha and his flesh had transformed, which was why he had the strength he had today. However, this did not mean that Long Batian was doing this out of good intentions. Furthermore, Long Fei was also seriously suspecting that Long Batian was recovering. His heart was filled with conflict. How could he be grateful? It was also because of this that Long Fei did not delay the arrangement of the 13 great emperors at all. Just a word, dry. And at this time, the raging dragon's power completely erupted and tightly wrapped around the 3 emperor corpses. As they clawed at each other, the dragon claws would enter the 3 emperor corpses' bodies time and time again. At the same time, the power of the 3 emperor corpses continued to increase. No matter who you are, this day is destined to be your funeral. No one can stop us from returning, and no one can stop our Lord from returning. A giant dragon formed from energy. The difference is too great. Break for me. The 3 emperors spoke out once again. They were extremely disdainful. At the same time, a hint of seriousness also appeared in Long Fei's eyes. Looking at the 3 emperor corpses in the sky, with increasingly surging power, his heart turned cold. I will. Are you King joking with me? Long Fei was secretly envious in his heart. This time he was truly shocked. The 3 emperor corpses seemed to have mutated. After being annihilated by Long Fei, not only was he not injured, he had become even stronger. The boss attributes hadn't changed at all. CK. His movements are as fierce as a tiger's. Turn around and look, he's standing on the ground. You were playing for nothing just now? Long Fei felt extremely helpless. It was also at this time that an even more violent energy suddenly exploded from the bodies of the 3 emperor corpses. It was as though this was the only fusion of all 3 powers. In the blink of an eye, it directly invaded Kuang Long's body. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the dragon collapsed. The surging force engulfed the entire space. Under this power, Long Fei also retreated a few steps. As he raised his head, he stared fixedly at the 3 emperor corpses in the sky. In his heart, he felt even more helpless. That doesn't make sense. Did they King bug it? With such a tyrannical damage output, it's fine if he doesn't die, but the more he fights, the stronger he becomes. Just how are we going to play? Long Fei cursed in his heart. His gaze once again fell on the 3 emperor corpses in the air and read the same introduction as before. In his heart, Long Fei was extremely displeased. But at this moment, the 3 emperor corpses in the sky suddenly began to split apart. His body began to shrink rapidly, as if it were about to fall out of its cocoon. Pieces of rotten flesh began to disappear. In an instant, a cold glint appeared in Long Fei's eyes. Is it going to evolve? Long Fei took a deep breath and looked at the 3 emperor corpses that were constantly changing. Long Fei took a deep breath and looked at the 3 emperor corpses that were constantly changing. It was a completely unexpected change. Originally, he had relied on the suppression of the world's firework, as well as the berserk nature of the 7-star fist. Long Fei thought, and then took them all away. In the end, he had been tricked. He didn't expect that, contrary to his expectations, the other party would go through a second evolution instead of exploding. It was also at this time that a burst of berserk laughter came from the sky. Haha, little bastard. I have to thank you for that, huh? Do you think our powers are so weak? We are merely borrowing your strength to help us remove the gap in strength. Now, the 3 of us are one. How are you going to fight? A voice came from one of the 3 emperors' corpses. It was filled with ridicule. Long Fei's eyes became gloomy. He looked over and instantly captured the attribute. At this moment, the previously enormous corpse of the 3 emperors had disappeared. In its place, it turned into a 3-headed monster. 3 heads. Above every head, there was a power. Above the left was the power of longevity. In the middle was the power of nether. On the right side, there was the decaying power. A body of 3 emperors. At the same time, the introduction to the attributes also began to change. 3 emperors. Ancient plus boss. Health. Defense 1 billion. Skill 3 emperors. Special skills 3 emperors. When he saw the attributes of the 3 emperor corpses redefined by the system, he immediately understood. 1 corpse, 1 body. The difference of 1 word was 2 completely different levels. Furthermore, he finally knew that the system had given him an unlimited description of the three emperors' corpse worms. What did he mean by that? It turned out that it was already determined that the three emperor corpses would not be able to be defeated. Even if they were to go berserk to the end, they would still become the three emperors. As such, he didn't have any HP left. The heck? Why is there such shameless manipulation? Long Fei felt extremely disgusted in his heart. Even if it was the first time he had faced the three monarchs, Long Fei would not have been the slightest bit afraid or conflicted. But unfortunately, these three emperors still had to borrow Long Fei's power to transform. This made Long Fei feel as if his heart was stuck in his throat and was extremely disgusting. Right at this moment, the three emperors who were standing in the sky burst into violent smiles. Ha ha ha, boy, you're still too inexperienced. Do you know what you're up against? Three great emperors, do you know? Are they the three great ancient emperors that dominated the 10,000 worlds? Even a god would tremble under such power. You are just a small ant in front of us. If I want to crush you, I can do so. Incomparable savagery and ruthlessness. There was a sense of superiority in each of their voices. It was as if all living beings had to bow before them. They were all trembling. They could only plead nonstop. Instantly, Long Fei moved. With a backhand move, if it was a fire, it would directly return into Long Fei's hands. However, the entire space was still filled with light. Brilliant world fire. Even a world can be shrouded, yet it can't brighten this space? Non-existent. My lord, if these people are too strong, how are we supposed to deal with them? Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu immediately went over to Long Fei's side. They had seen everything that had happened. Initially, they thought that Long Fei was unrivaled and that he could instantly eliminate him. But who would have thought that he would break through just before the battle began? That's right. In their eyes, the change in the three emperors was akin to a breakthrough, because in their concept there was no such thing as mutation. However, the thing that truly frightened them was that the aura's strength after this change was like a completely different person compared to before. There was no way to compare at all. Even if they had faced the strongest star demon god of boundary before, they would still be disregarded in the face of such power. Merely the frightening, oppressive might that the three emperors brought with them when they spoke those words had already caused them to feel extremely impatient in their hearts. It was as if they were about to die. However, Long Fei did not move an inch and did not have the slightest intention to panic. On the contrary, his body was filled with endless rage. How so? What else could they do? Of course, kill him, using my own strength to transform. How could there be such a good thing in the world? If they dare to use it, I dare to explode. Long Fei said in a serious tone. Killing intent surged. Furthermore, to let Long Fei go against such a boss who had surpassed the ancient rank, not to mention everything else? Impossible. Not to mention that they were the 13 ancient emperors. Then he would have to be tough to the end. Hee hee, are you laughing at me? Kid, have you not seen the situation? Destroy us? What should I use? With your meager flow? What a joke. However, the three emperors in the sky didn't seem to care at all. All of their faces were cold as they looked at Long Fei with disdain. Humph! Long Fei merely snorted coldly, not even bothering to speak any nonsense. With a flip of his hand, Seven-Star Fist once again struck out, each fist becoming more berserk than the last. Rumble! The seven fists went berserk as all of his strength gathered at one point. They only had one target, and that was the three emperors. However, right at this moment, the three emperors moved. The nearly ordinary size of the three emperors also burst forth with power from their eyes. It was like a laser. However, their strengths were different. Puff, puff, puff. The 6 beams of light cut across the sky, directly clashing with the force of Long Fei's Seven-Star Fist. But this time, there was no large-scale explosion. The power of Long Fei's Seven-Star Fist was instantly annihilated. Humph, boy, is this all you've got? Do it the same way you did it. Are you still going to be useful to us? An insignificant skill casually annihilated. The three emperors all spoke out in disdain. Long Fei's gaze also became focused. Zhang Xian was shocked. Towards the strength that he had just shown, Long Fei believed that even if he were to face the Star Demon God of Boundary, without it using the Star Demon rules, he would still be able to instantly crush it into meat paste. But now, it was easily broken by the opposite party. Raging Dragon's Town. Long Fei attacked again, without the slightest hesitation. I refuse to believe that you three old things are undyings. Exterminate them. Long Fei's eyes looked like one as a cold light flashed in them. Holding the God of Boundary in his hand, he madly attacked. However, the result was the same. The 30,000-meter-long dragon simply wasn't able to approach the three emperors at all. It directly collapsed into pieces in midair. Ha, little bastard, come on, keep coming. Trash is trash. How dare you disobey with such little strength? This emperor has already said that if you do not respect this emperor, then you will die. Obediently give up the struggle, give up the body. This emperor allowed your soul to become a ghost general. The voices of the three emperors were very orderly. After easily slaying the world suppression dragon, they became even more arrogant. As for Long Fei, the anger in his heart had already been completely ignited at this moment. A three-headed monster? What's there to be afraid of? Do you really think I don't have any tricks? So what if the three emperors come together? So what if he fused his strength? Do you think this young master has no other choice? If I want to kill you, even if Long Batian is still alive, I can't stop him. Even if it evolved, it would still explode. Long Fei's eyes flashed as he coldly replied. In the entire sky, only Long Fei's voice resounded. In the entire sky, only Long Fei's voice resounded. So what if it evolved? So what if he became stronger? It was still the same as before. Brat, you're too ignorant. In front of you, we are heaven. You're just an ant in front of the heavens. How dare you say you can overturn the heavens? Foolish. The three reprimands were still filled with disdain. A lot of people said those words to me, but they all died in the end. Long Fei coldly replied, Heavens? Non-existent. Anyone who pressed down on him would only end up with one result, and that was the real deal. As for the three emperors, the difference was simply too great. At least to Long Fei right now, he was not weak at all. It was also at this time that 5 medicinal pellets suddenly appeared in Long Fei's hand. Experience elixir. At this time, Long Fei wanted to level up. If he couldn't use the World Suppression Blade, then he would use his most powerful technique. In a moment of thought, Long Fei swallowed it whole. Drugs? Are you stupid? Do you think drugs work at a critical moment? What an idiot. The three emperors were still disdainful. Their three heads faintly sounded with ridicule. But Long Fei was not distracted and continued with his own actions. Ding! Congratulations, player, on swallowing experience elixir. Obtained 30 billion experience points. Ding! Ding! When the third experience elixir was consumed, the system did not remind him anymore. This was because his experience had already been filled. At this time, Long Fei also stopped his devouring. In any case, the experience elixir was in his hands. He could devour it whenever he wanted to. Instantly, the aura on Long Fei's body began to change, as streams of extremely dense energy tightly wrapped around Long Fei. Wah! A flash of inspiration. Long Fei immediately leveled up. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Great Perfection Stage Level 6. Leveling up experience 0/70000000000 points. Swish! A surge of power flowed through Long Fei's body, giving him an indescribable feeling of comfort. All his skills have been restored. Right now, Long Fei needed to be in this state. Breakthrough? What's the use of breaking through in the middle of a battle? However, he's still just an ant. It's simply laughable. Do you think that after breaking through, it will be of any use? Childish. The three of them spoke one sentence at a time. He did not take Long Fei seriously at all. Even if Long Fei had broken through, he wouldn't take it to heart. But at this time, Long Fei raised his head indifferently. Childish. You will soon know what's the use of me after I break through. Long Face said coldly. He focused on the system. Hand of the Great Tao. This technique was comparable to a taboo, and now he could finally use it again. This power was too immense. Even the system had been cautious in stating it, so much so that it could only be used once. Originally, Long Fei had left it for the venerable king. But now, he couldn't wait any longer. With his current abilities, he was simply unable to destroy them. But since he gave up, Long Fei would definitely not be willing to give up. Didn't you want to know what was the use? Then Lousy will let you know now. Long Fei's eyes flashed with a cold light, following which a pair of hands were raised slightly. Soon after, the entire space started to become chaotic. A powerful force began to gather in the sky. But this time, there was no response from the heavens. Only a few of the S felt this aura and were moved. It's happening again. Who exactly has such a method under their control? Are they trying to suppress the heavens? I wonder who's the unlucky one this time around. It seems as though the myriad realms will contend for the Tao for the rest of its life. These voices were coming from those super god of boundary S, and all of their gazes were filled with shock. Especially after feeling the power, he sped up even more. He wanted to escape to the center of the 10,000 worlds as soon as possible. As for the king, he didn't even bother to pay any attention to him. He only opened his eyes slightly and continued to immerse himself in it. When the scene returned, Long Fei's heart was even more focused. This familiar move instantly raised his hand and then slowly descended. Incomparable shock. His hands seemed to contain all the supreme power in the world. It instantly descended from the sky. At this moment, the expressions of the three emperors finally changed. The three heads began to wildly sway back and forth, each one of their faces filled with an incomparably terrifying malevolence. This is a Tao aura. Impossible. How could an ant like him be able to control this sort of power? This is a power that even adults are chasing after. We can't resist. Let's go. The three great emperors spoke out in succession, their eyes tearing up with fear. In the end, he didn't even have the courage to attack and wanted to escape. However, it was impossible. Long Fei consumed medicine until he leveled up. They had been waiting for this moment. How could he make them retreat? Absolutely impossible. Run? Who gave you the qualifications? Aren't you all bragging? Didn't you say that I'm an ant? Didn't you want to see the sky turn upside down? This old man will flip it for you to see now. Long Fei said coldly, word for word. With each word he spoke, his hands would press forward. At the same time, the entire space seemed to be filled with the power of the universe. The aura that could crush all the heavens seemed to become even more violent. In the blink of an eye, the entire space was enveloped. It was as if the strike was going to destroy the entire space. Everything was gone, annihilated. At this time, the bodies of the three emperors bounced back like they had collided with a wall. Puff, puff, puff. All at the same time. On the three heads, a stream of blood spurted out. Brat. No. Sir, I have something to say. Killing us won't do you any good. I can feel our presence on your body. Clearly, you must be closely related to our strength inheritors. If you leave us behind, we can help you cultivate them to become invincible warlords and smile proudly in front of you. The three emperors all spoke out in panic. But Long Fei, the sneer at the corner of his mouth had indeed become thicker. What? Did you admit to it? That's it. Don't you think it's the heavens in front of your father? Long Fei said coldly, as if he did not hear anything. He didn't even react in his heart. The power of the emperor's legacy was unleashed by the system. Becoming an emperor was only a matter of time. You need to use them to nurture you? It was simply a joke. The faces of the three emperors turned cold as they begged for mercy. All of their expressions turned malevolent once more. Brat, you are too arrogant. Are you sure you want to fight to the death? You must know that the more you kill us, the more refined your methods regarding adults will be. Killing us would also be committing suicide. You can't even imagine how powerful you are, my lord. The three emperors said. Long Fei was startled, light flowing in his eyes. Once again, Just like how he had killed Luo Yuan previously, Long Baishan's figure was once again dragged out by them. Long Fei felt slightly, and sure enough, being able to sense that piece of dragon scale had actually recovered a bit more. However, this could not become a reason for Long Fei to let them go. You're right, but even so, what can you do? So what if Long Batian revives? I'm not afraid. Now you guys go ahead and explode. Long Fei roared, and the great way of the Buddha's hands descended. Long Fei roared, and the great way of the Buddha's hands descended. Countless Tao styles and tens of thousands of sects exploded outwards. Under this kind of power, the three emperor corpses were directly crushed. No, I hate you. Don't kill me. I'm willing to let you sit down on a dog and listen to your orders forever. Please spare my life. I'll help you escape the control of an adult. The three of them immediately began to beg for forgiveness. In an instant, he became a coward. But it was useless. The hand of the Great Way had fallen, and there was no longer any possibility of a reversal. In the blink of an eye, the three of them opened their mouths, and their heads exploded under the pressure of the hand of the Great Tao. He was directly crushed to death. At this time, the power of the hand of the Great Tao began to dissipate. As for the result, Long Fei had already expected it. There is no doubt that this sort of refining system was considered a taboo existence. It wouldn't be difficult to kill a boss. Ding! Congratulations, player Long Fei, for defeating the boss 3 emperors. Obtain 15 billion experience points, 5 billion Holy Source S, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining Longevity Coffin. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining the Rotten Life Refining Palm. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining Netherworld Adumbra Finger. The system's voice rang out incessantly. The 3 lights flashed and entered the system's dimension. The aura and strength of these 3 weapons had long since far surpassed that of before. The power radiating from his body was much more formidable than that of the Chaos Battle Sword. More importantly, these 3 powers were all personal techniques of the 3 great emperors. Some were weapons, while others were cultivation techniques. A 1-1 ratio for the cow. Compared to before, this was definitely a huge blow. Long Fei's eyes also flickered with a bright light. Berserk! Long Fei spoke out again. To him, striking value was equivalent to a secondary benefit. Especially since this time it was a boss that had surpassed the ancient level, Long Fei would not let it go. Following that, the system's stiffness appeared once again. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining the power of longevity. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining power of nether. Ding! Congratulations, player, for obtaining decaying power. This time, it was Berserk, erupting with the power of 3 great emperors that rolled endlessly. Immediately, Long Fei's eyes lit up. The power of 3 emperors was equivalent to the strength of 3 great figures of the primordial level. If he threw a Tiea, little unrivaled, and Zhang, you would definitely be able to instantly trace their strength back to its original source and increase it by another level. However, this power was too violent. It was as if the 3 energies were fused together, making it impure. In a moment of thought, Long Fei moved both his hands once again. In the blink of an eye, the super alchemy technique activated, purifying the 3 energies and removing all the impurities within. A moment later, the 3 medicinal pills took shape. Every single one of them contained an incomparably pure and violent energy. Tsk, that star pellet from before, it's a pity that I haven't found the person who inherited the Fallen Land's legacy, or else I would be able to find another with unparalleled combat power. Long Fei thought. However, when he saw this pill, his heart was moved. Especially this time, he had actually exploded forth with the strength of 3 great emperors at once. It was even one step closer to Long Fei wanting to completely remove the power of the 13 emperors. There are 9 more. Next is the Big Dipper world. Long Fei thought. The reason why it was the Big Dipper world was also because of the setting in Long Fei's heart. Because right now, the Big Dipper diagram was in his hands. This meant that Long Fei had control of the Big Dipper world. The moment the star demon entered, he would have the power to control it. He didn't need to use a flying machine to travel long distances. At this moment, Wang Yun and Jiang Chunqiu had already approached them. Not a word. His face was dark. "Lord, why don't we return to the Dragon Court to cultivate?" "That's right, my lord. I feel like we're just a burden if we follow you," the two of them said. But Long Fei did not think so. He shook his head and said, "There's no need. You're more familiar with the myriad heavens than I am. I never expected you to. At most, I just want to know who my opponent is," Long Fei said, extremely frank. Instantly, the two of them felt as if they had been struck by a violent blow. His face immediately turned the color of a pig's liver. Incomparable pain. They were all looking at Long Fei with a helpless expression, as if their self-esteem had been oppressed. Long Fei found it funny and said, "But don't worry, I've already prepared it for you. Although I can't give you the power that I've just revealed, I can't. This Three Emperors physique is also a set of good stuff. Wait for me to refine it into a pill." Saying that, Long Fei attacked once again. Although the Three Emperors had been transformed by the power of the Three Emperors, the fusion of the three powers also contained an immeasurable amount of power. Refining the pill into a pill would allow the two of them to advance another step. Wang Yun and Jiang Chunqiu's eyes lit up in anticipation. Looking at the movements of Long Fei's hands, the corners of his mouth constantly moved, full of desire. The more powerful one was, the more one yearned for power. Especially after they had followed Long Fei and seen how Long Fei had repeatedly gone berserk against the heavens, they felt that they were even more powerless when they saw him standing to the side as a spectator. Therefore, when Long Fei helped them to condense their power, he was already deeply immersed in it, and his eyes were glowing. And it was also at this time that two pellets had already appeared in Long Fei's hands. Under the super alchemy technique, it was easy to condense the corpses of the Three Emperors. After the pill was formed, Long Fei tried to get a subtle sense of it, and the power contained within it was indeed extremely powerful. But to Long Fei, it was not the slightest bit attractive. "I'll give it to you. After that, you can temporarily train here, while I'll head to the Big Dipper realm," Long Fei said. However, before he could finish his sentence, he suddenly felt something in his heart and abruptly raised his head. All that could be seen was that the sky above had suddenly exploded. A fiery light suddenly descended from the sky. Whoosh! Raging flames burned the sky, igniting the void. It was extremely berserk. Wang Yun and Jiang Chunqiu's expressions changed. "Phoenix." As the two spoke, their eyes locked. At this time, Long Fei's heart also jumped, and he instantly became excited. A figure that was floating in his mind appeared in the blink of an eye. It was extremely clear. "Young master. Jojo can do it. Young master." Memories swept through Long Fei's mind, uncontrollably becoming crystal clear in his eyes. Jojo, the first woman in his life, the one he couldn't bear to part with, was also the one he remembered the most. They had parted for many years, and now they had finally appeared. This was a reaction on Long Fei's part. He believed that the phoenix would definitely not appear here. Since he appeared, it must be related to Jojo. In an instant, Long Fei retracted all of his aura and indifferently went to greet them. And at this time, that ball of fire slowly turned into its real body. It was without a doubt a phoenix. "You are Long Fei?" Phoenix spoke out with a face full of arrogance. It was as if he did not put Long Fei in his eyes at all. Long Fei's expression also changed as a word appeared in his mind. "The people who came were not friendly. F***CK. For Jojo, I will endure." Long Fei forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart and said indifferently, "Yes, I am Long Fei." However, the next sentence made Long Fei extremely angry in the blink of an eye. "If it's you, then so be it. This king has come today to announce my good fortune. My clan's holy maiden, Jojo, will choose her partner half a month later. But thinking that you were once his lick, let me inform you. Don't forget to go." After Phoenix said this, she laughed and left. Long Fei was immediately stunned in place. Long Fei was immediately stunned in place. Matchmaking? Licking a dog? Every word pierced his heart. In just a single breath, Long Fei's eyes immediately turned red. As he raised his head, he suddenly reached out and grabbed the phoenix that was about to fly away and fiercely pulled. Boom! A ball of flame directly burned along Long Fei's arm. However, with Long Fei's current body, it was basically useless. No! Long Fei, what are you doing? Let me go. In an instant, the phoenix was thrown into a panic. His eyes were filled with fear, and he even regretted putting on airs in front of Long Fei. However, Long Fei, who had already fallen into a rage, did not even have the slightest reaction as he abruptly pulled his hand back. Boom! Asterisk Phoenix was caught by Long Fei in an instant. All of the flames disappeared, and the phoenix feathers flew in the air, turning into a hairless phoenix. Long Fei, what are you doing? Don't forget, I am from Phoenix Realm. If you dare to touch me, you are provoking Phoenix Realm's dignity. Even though this phoenix had lost all its feathers, it was still as arrogant as before. It was as if the Phoenix Realm was an unreachable, submissive existence in this myriad realms. But these words were completely useless in front of Long Fei. The Phoenix Realm is awesome, better than a transcendent realm. At most, it would only be a super great world. In front of others, such an existence couldn't be rebellious or unreachable. But in Long Fei's eyes, it was nothing at all. The super great worlds that had been destroyed by him were no longer just one or two. At this time, Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu had also kept their pills. Looking at the furious Long Fei, they also walked over. Phoenix Realm? So what if it was the Phoenix Realm? My lord has suppressed the Big Dipper with his fist and exterminated the Star Demon. Even if it's Phoenix Realm, what can it do? You're simply blind, your dog eyes. You dare to act so arrogantly in front of my lord. As the two of them spoke, their hearts were filled with pity for this man. If it was before, they really wouldn't dare to be disrespectful to the people of Phoenix Realm. This was because the Phoenix Realm was the most special existence in the 9 heavens and 10 hells. It was said that he was the only one in the world. Rather, it was better to say that it was like comparing heaven and earth with the Phoenix Realm. However, the Phoenix Realm suffered a heavy injury before the rise of civilization, which was the true rise of a noble realm. But the dead camels were bigger than horses, and simply could not be compared to the few other worlds. That was also the reason why they were shocked when they saw that it was a phoenix descending from the sky. But he never would have thought that this fellow was actually acting cool in front of Long Fei. It had even directly angered Long Fei. This kind of behavior was no different from courting death. And at this time, as the voices of the two people fell, the people from Phoenix Realm were completely stupefied. He had not been out for a long time, and after receiving an order this time, he found out about Long Fei's existence from his clansmen. All he knew was that Long Fei was someone who walked out of Ancient World. Thus, he didn't pay it any heed. As for anything else, he didn't know at all. Now that he heard Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu's words, his heart sank to the bottom. Coupled with Long Fei's violent methods from before, it caused his heart to become even colder. In an instant, endless fear appeared in his eyes. Long Fei, you must not be impulsive. Besides, I was lying to you just now. The Holy Maiden was willing to marry in order to save you. I didn't want to see the Holy Maiden in such a terrible situation, so I came all the way here. I, Zhu Yu, have purposely belittled you because of your low cultivation. I didn't wish for you to run away and take the risk. The hairless phoenix continuously said, saliva filling the sky. Crazy explanation. It seemed that in order to survive, there was no problem. Long Fei's emotions would also ease down a little at this moment, and the fury on his face would disappear. Of course, it was not because of this person's words. It was only because of Jojo. Are you saying that Jojo is now going to marry someone from the 10,000 worlds? Long Fei opened his mouth coldly, looking extremely cold. Master Long Fei, you should be able to make it in time. With your strength, you will definitely be able to suppress all the other heroes and make my master satisfied. At that time, You will immediately become my Phoenix Realm's son-in-law. When the time comes for us to join forces, in this place of 10,000 worlds, who will be our match?" The naked phoenix said, its eyes full of desire. However, the sinister look in his eyes became more and more arrogant. It was as if he had succeeded in his scheme. "Huh, you're right. It seems that there are some things that have to be put on the agenda. Since that's the case, then let's first head to Phoenix Realm," Long Fei said indifferently. The hairless phoenix's face lit up, and it instantly stood up. "Master Long Fei is indeed awesome. This is just nice. I will go first to inform the holy maiden of this good news," said the hairless phoenix. As he spoke, the flames on his body reignited. He was reborn from the fire, following which more feathers appeared. However, the moment he turned around, a haze appeared in his eyes once more. "Umph, brat, you actually dare to humiliate me like this. When you reach the Phoenix Realm, I'll let you know what it means to rather die than to live," thought the hairless phoenix. The more he thought about it, the more pleased he became with himself. But right at this moment, Long Fei moved. With a casual wave of his hand, he sent it directly into the endless flames. "I said that I would go to Phoenix Realm, but I never said that I would let you off." A cold smile flashed across the corner of Long Fei's mouth as he exerted a little more strength in his hands. "You don't kill me." The hairless phoenix struggled, and fear once again enveloped its eyes. He didn't even understand what had gone wrong. It was clear that everything was under his control. Even he himself was convinced of this. "You keep saying Holy Maiden and Lord, but you overestimated your performance. When you talked about Jojo, your eyes were filled with pity. When you told me to go to Phoenix Realm, there was a conspiracy in your eyes," Long Fei said indifferently. He then changed the subject and pressed on the table. "Directly kill the hairless phoenix." His soul had been annihilated. He even extinguished a ball of fire, not even giving him the chance to be reborn from the fire. Immediately after, Long Fei raised his head slightly and looked towards the boundless space. "Even Lousy's woman needs you to pity her? Seems like Jojo doesn't have a happy life in Phoenix Realm. If that's the case, then I don't care what kind of scheme you guys are plotting, but I'm sure of this Phoenix Realm." As Long Fei said this, he turned around to look at Wang Yun and Jiang Chuanxiu. "My lord, don't worry. This time, we'll just refine this energy while we're on the road. Yes, you dare to bully the mistress. This time, I will set his Phoenix Realm on fire," Wang Yun and Jiang Chuanxiu said. Long Fei showed a little helplessness on his face. Could a phoenix be afraid of fire? At this time, Jiang Chuanxiu also realized the mistake in his words and quickly said, "Anyway, just kill them." Long Fei nodded his head. "You're right. Even I can't bear to make them feel wronged with my woman. Phoenix Realm, no. Even this world cannot do it. Since you've already done it, then let's do it," Long Fei said lightly. And in the blink of an eye, he directly leaped into the air, and with a single leap, he poured into the endless void. In the boundless starry sky, there were tens of thousands of worlds. In the boundless starry sky, there were tens of thousands of worlds. Long Fei's figure also continued to jump. It moved with incredible speed. But even so, it was still not enough for Long Fei. His heart was burning with anxiety, but that was exactly what Long Fei wanted to say right now. Wang Yun and Jiang Chuanxiu were already exhausted. They forced bitter looks on their faces, but did not dare to say a word. Initially, they had thought that they could use the pellets Long Fei gave them earlier, but it looked like there was no chance at all. "My lord, it's not going to work if this goes on. Phoenix Realm was extremely special in this myriad realms. Legend has it that in this myriad worlds, the Phoenix Valley S were left behind before civilization descended. It cannot be seen with the naked eye. Divine sense cannot be found. It's like it's an illusion. Even if our divine power is exhausted, I'm afraid we won't be able to find the location of the Phoenix Valley," Jiang Chuanxiu said. His eyes twinkled. He was simply trying to be brave. Long Fei's entire body was covered with killing intent. After interacting with Long Fei for so long, he understood Long Fei too well. His woman and his brother were his reverse scale. Whoever touched him would die. Now, The Phoenix realm was actually going to marry his woman to the 10,000 worlds. Long Fei definitely wouldn't be able to endure such a thing. But now that they were shuttling through the void, they no longer had the strength to hold on. Long Fei also stopped at this moment. He stopped and looked. "You're right. If I had known earlier, I would have kept him alive," Long Fei said. The aimless teleportation through the void was a complete waste of time. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes moved, his hand moved, and the teleportation door appeared. This was the power that he had released after destroying the meteorite realm. The 10,000 worlds had been filled up, and it could be reached anywhere. However, the usage of these doors wasn't random. Originally, they had to aim for the target every time, which would take a lot of time. This was the reason why Long Fei used it. But right now, there was no other way but to pass through the portal. Damn it, there's no other way. I hope it's still too late. Long Fei clenched his fists and thought. Then he turned around and looked at Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu. "All of you, cultivate first. I used a teleportation gate to lock onto the Phoenix Valley." Long Fei's gaze was firm as he said solemnly. Then he linked his mind to the system. System lock onto Phoenix Valley. On the other hand, it was at the center of the universe. The god of boundary of the super strong realm of the 9 heavens and 10 earth had already arrived. "We've finally arrived. As long as we are in the noble realm, no matter how powerful Long Fei is, he is still just a piece of trash, and it is impossible for him to behave atrociously here." "Who says it isn't? Even if you give him 2 guts, he wouldn't dare to come." Several god of boundary spoke out with a relaxed expression. They simply did not dare to face Long Fei head-on, as they were afraid that Long Fei would come knocking. They even did not want the foundation that they had set up in this entire realm and directly went to the location of the noble world. The purpose was to seek protection. Right at this moment, a figure appeared and stopped them. "Everyone, this way, please." A voice rang out. However, he couldn't see the figure clearly. It gave people a feeling of limitlessness that was difficult to see through with the naked eye. A few god of boundary faces changed. He looked at this person with a bit more reverence, even though they were god of boundary. However, in front of noble world, he really didn't have the ability to be arrogant. There were 5 supreme realm envoys. It was a greenish yellow and a black and white azure. However, there were only 4 people who truly walked in this world. Black and white, green and yellow. Like the last one, he never showed his face. He just didn't expect it to appear right now. The few of them did not dare to slack off. Not to mention anything else, just the fact that this person was the song of the noble world was sufficient. In the blink of an eye, the figures of the few of them landed within the palace. "Greetings, Master Zhou. Greetings, Ancestor." The few of them spoke up. He gazed at the capital with incomparable reverence, and his gaze was incomparably humble. It was as if standing in a noble world was a special honor. After all, the present was different from the past. In the past, they could have thought themselves to be extraordinary because they were famous in the strong world. They were able to preserve some of their dignity in the noble world. But now, a super strong world was a dog that had lost its home. The only thing that could save them was the noble world. Thus, they were now in front of the noble world. He could only lie there. He obediently acted like a dog, showing off his proper posture. Only then would he be able to obtain the pity of the noble world. Up above, the state of Zhou turned to look at the 6. Humph! With a cold snort, he completely ignored them. It was as if these people had no value at all in front of him. In the blink of an eye, the 6 of them acted as if they had been struck by a great sin. Cold sweat trickled down his face, but he didn't dare to say anything. "Get up." It was also at this moment that Honorable Zhou spoke. His cold arrogance transcended all living things. "Now, do you know how useless you are? A single Long Fei, using all his power and the power of 100,000 worlds, you all actually became dogs that lost your homes in the end. He is simply the trash among trash. You still have the face to come to my noble world and seek protection?" As the old man spoke, his anger rose even higher. In just a short moment, the faces of these super big sisters who wore God of Boundary were filled with fear. "Come, speak. Aren't you usually pretty cocky? Isn't it because everyone is so powerful that they even dare to disobey the will of the real face? Why? Aren't you acting cool now? Honorable Zhou said coldly. Please spare our lives, Master Evil. We won't dare to do that again. It is us idiots who've been blinded by our desire to eat lard and plead for your majesty to save us. Hysterical cries sounded one after another. If anyone else were to see this scene, they would definitely be extremely shocked. Was this even the god of boundary of a super strong realm? It couldn't even compare to a dog. And it was also at this time that Zun Wang moved. With a single step, he walked out of the shrine, and even the bodies of few god of boundary were brought out with a wave of his hand. Since that's the case, Real Face will give you one more chance. I've already teamed up with the old guy from the Phoenix Valley and set up a death trap in the God Valley. Of course, all of you are also part of the plot. This time, if we still can't kill Long Fei, you guys won't even have the qualifications to be dogs anymore, understand? The voice of the Emperor sounded out coldly, as if they had been granted amnesty. The few of them nodded their heads repeatedly with eyes that showed that they had survived a disaster. Don't worry, Great Master. We will definitely give our all with the help of Master Zhou's plan. Right. Although I don't know what this plan is, this little bastard will definitely die this time. We will head to the Phoenix Valley now and listen to the orders from a master in the God Valley. A few people said, their eyes filled with unswerving determination. This time, it was not up to them. This was because they were well aware of the outcome if they were to fail. In the blink of an eye, the few of them disappeared into the void space that the Emperor had pulled open for them. Just as the few of them had disappeared, a sinister look flashed across the face of Jizun. Long Fei this time, let's see how you die. Phoenix Valley. Phoenix Valley, a phoenix that covered the skies, spreading its wings. It blotted out the sky and covered the earth, forming a gigantic, fiery, red, fan-shaped valley. Just a single glance was enough to cause one to feel immense pressure. Also, the entire sky was lit up by fire. Flames ignited the entire valley, causing people to feel incomparable reverence. At this time, the entire Phoenix Valley was in an uproar. All the powerhouses of the 9 heavens and 10 earth had arrived. There were only 2 reasons for this. Amongst them, there was also the young master of the Big Dipper realm and the young master of the Star Demon realm. But now, the 2 of them did not even exist in the crowd. What young lord? He couldn't even be compared to the passers-by in the crowd, and even had the audacity to squash and humiliate the followers of some worlds. It was all because both worlds had been destroyed by Long Fei. Thus, the 2 of them hid in a corner. However, their eyes were filled with hatred. Damn that Long Fei, it's all because of him. This time, I have to kill him no matter what. The young lord of the Star Demon realm said. To the side, the young master of the Beitang clan's eyes flickered continuously. That's right, I heard that the Phoenix Holy Maiden was even this dog's woman from the lower realms. If I could obtain the position of chief, this time he would definitely come. Streams of light flickered in the young master's eyes as the corners of his mouth turned cold. It was as if he had made some sort of important decision. In front of them were a few other young masters from other super strong realms gathered together. I had originally wanted to participate in the 10,000 Worlds expedition to eliminate that Long Fei, but I didn't expect that there would be no trace of him now. What a pity. Among them, the young master of the divine realm said in a low voice. With this said, the rest of the people immediately fell in love with him. You're right. If that kid was here, I would have taken his head off with one hand. Oomph. Why would I need you? As long as he dares to appear, I'll destroy him in one go. Stop bragging. You destroyed him in one breath? Do you think that you are your father? Even your father might not dare to say something like that. All of them were incomparably arrogant. One was even more arrogant than the other. In any case, there was only one main idea in their minds. They had no interest in Long Fei at all. Previously, they had left from the Phoenix Valley, wanting to use the tens of thousands of enemies to choose who they want to marry to Jojo. However, he didn't have the chance. Before they even returned to their own world, they were immediately informed that Long Fei had disappeared. He was once again invited by the Phoenix Valley to return to this place. Of course, they did not mention anything about Long Fei setting up the dragon court. All of them pretended not to know. If Long Fei was here, he would definitely say that the entire world owed them a movie emperor. What a pretentious guy. Who's the real deal? As for the two of them, none of them would say anything to each other. In any case, I don't care if you act, so treat it as being shameless. Right at this time, an old man slowly walked up the stage. He was the person who was in charge of receiving them, the Phoenix Valley. All of you are the pride of the heavens, the pride of this world. A single Long Fei is naturally not a problem. However, this is a joint effort of my patriarch and Senior Zhou. I hope that you can cooperate. The old man from Phoenix Valley said. This time, the few of them remained silent and could be considered to have agreed. This was because whether it was an official or a master, none of them were people they could afford to offend. In addition, this was an order from Zhou, and they were even more clear on the outcome if they didn't respect it. When a manager of the Phoenix Valley saw this reaction, his face flashed with a sneer. Then, he turned around and left. At the same time, somewhere else in the Phoenix Valley, Jojo was still locked in the same room. The entire room was filled with flames, but Jojo's entire being was immersed in those flames, as he cultivated wholeheartedly without feeling anything. What was even more peculiar was that Jojo's aura was exceptionally ice-cold. There were even streams of ice and fire burning on her body. The two extremes were directly formed. Extreme Flame interviewed. One side was extremely cold. The two extremely powerful forces collided at this moment, producing endless flames. But Jojo acted as if he did not hear it. He was still immersed in it. However, the aura on her body became more and more chaotic until it finally went out of control. Puff! Jojo suddenly opened his eyes and spat out a mouthful of blood, causing the mysterious phenomenon in the room to disappear without a trace. Big Brother Long Fei. Jojo's pupils constricted as she spoke in a low voice. A bitter smile flashed across her beautiful face. What she did not know was that at another part of the Phoenix Valley, a pair of eyes was staring right at her. Bitch, if it wasn't for you awakening the supreme Nirvana sacred flame, I would have killed you long ago. Now, for a man, I'm unable to fully activate it. Damn it, bitch, bitch. This voice was filled with incomparable rage. He was Phoenix Realm of the Phoenix Realm. At this moment, her face was filled with malevolence, greed, and ruthlessness. No matter what, once that brat Long Fei dies, your will to die will appear, and this power will be split. When the time comes, everything will be mine. It's all mine. The Phoenix Realm snorted coldly, waved his hand, and turned to leave. Of course, all of this Long Fei did not know. At this time, Long Fei and the other two were already standing in the air for a few hours. The destination of the portal had been locked, and it was complete. This time, it took even longer than last time. It was completely because the Phoenix Valley was too mysterious that even the system would have a hard time capturing any trace of it. At this moment, Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu were still in the process of refinement. If it were not for the two of them, Long Fei would have left long ago. At this time, Wang Yun suddenly shouted, "Ah!" Such powerful strength. My lord, I've succeeded. I feel that the strength in my body is now able to suppress the god of boundary of super strong realm. Wang Yun was incomparably excited. He was originally a god of boundary from the war realm and was born to be an arrogant and aggressive person. But now that he obtained this power, he became even more arrogant. In that instant, Long Fei suddenly felt a strange sense of familiarity. In his mind, he thought about Quan Wang and the young Taoist from back then. All sorts of feelings filled the air. But before he could think about it further, Jiang Chunxiu had already finished refining the pill. In an instant, he stood up, power surged around his body. "Haha, my lord, this time, we don't have to be a burden anymore. When we reach the Phoenix Valley, you just have to go find sister-in-law. I'll mess with whoever stops me." He was incomparably arrogant, and his face was also full of excitement. He couldn't wait to have a good fight. The expression in Long Fei's eyes stabilized as he faintly perceived that the strength of the two had indeed increased quite a bit compared to before. At the very least, he wouldn't be the slightest bit inferior to those of the Big Dipper realm. It could be said that, like the arrogant and young Taoists back then, it was just a bunch of berserk duo. All right, then this time, this father will bring you all to overturn Phoenix Valley. Let them know, not just anyone can covet my woman. Luo was boundless and resplendent. Luo was boundless and resplendent. A teleportation portal filled with countless mysteries. As for Long Fei, at this point in time, he no longer had any misgivings. He brought Wang Yun and Jiang Chuanxiu and stepped into the fray. And as these figures disappeared, the door also instantly changed. It was as if it had fused with a world of 10,000 worlds, directly vanishing into nothingness. And at this time, in the Phoenix Valley, in a mysterious space, the Phoenix Master also suddenly opened their eyes, full of shock. Impossible. There is absolutely no power in this world that can lock onto my Phoenix Valley. Who is it? It's actually able to draw the imprint on my Phoenix Valley, directly locking onto it. The Phoenix Clan Master revealed looks of astonishment, as they were completely unable to believe it. However, this astonishment had yet to completely disappear, but in front of his eyes, a phoenix-like stone sculpture suddenly began to shake with a loud bang. Rumble, 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 rumble. All of a sudden, the statue began to crumble, as if it had been attacked by some force and turned into dust. At this moment, the Phoenix Ancestor's expression changed. "No. Who is it? Whose power is it that could defy my race's previous guardian power? Who is it?" The Divine Phoenix Grandmaster was hysterical, and his entire person had fallen into a state of panic. Streams of power were emitted from his body, and even though he wanted to chase after them, he was unable to find any traces of them. The Divine Phoenix Grandmaster, who had pleaded but to no avail, was furious. His entire face darkened. It seems that there are indeed some things that are about to come out of this myriad worlds. Do you want to repeat the war before civilization sees the path? In that case, we can't wait any longer. I must obtain the nirvanic sacred flame. The Divine Phoenix Grandmaster said with a dark expression. Then, he suddenly left the space. A flash. He directly appeared in the air above the Phoenix Valley. Couple selection begin, the Divine Phoenix Grandmaster said. In an instant, the entire Phoenix Valley began to stir. "Ha, has it begun? The Phoenix Holy Maiden is now mine. Are you even worthy? If I don't see what you are, the young lord is yet to speak. Is it your turn? Scram, even that rookie, your young master, wants to fight for the Phoenix Holy Maiden. I think you all have eaten the guts of a bear heart leopard." Instantly, the war of words began. He'd been able to remain calm in the previous 6 realms. However, the instant Phoenix Ancestor opened his mouth, everyone went into a frenzy. There was no other way. In their view of the world, who could achieve this success? This meant that she would be marrying into the Phoenix Valley. At that time, the combined power of both sides would allow the Phoenix Valley to be unrivaled in the universe. He could even be on par with the transcendent powers. Who could resist such a temptation? But right now, the young masters of the 6 realms were completely silent, their faces incomparably cold and sinister. No matter who he looked at, it was filled with hostility. Just then, the manager of the Phoenix Valley took a step forward and floated into the air. Silence. With that sound, the entire world instantly became silent. Even the few people who were having the most fun were also speechless at this moment. That was because those words were filled with killing intent. Just a single sentence was enough to shut them up. This time, I, the Phoenix Saintess, choose my Tao companion. Naturally, I want to choose the strongest one. As everyone knows, my Phoenix Valley had the foundation before civilization. Therefore, this time, my clan's master will open this prehistoric land. Moreover, this place contains the prehistoric strength of my clan. Whoever obtains, it will become the beloved of my clan's holy maiden. the Phoenix clan's manager said indifferently. Finally, he added, "This is something that I have spoken out for you all before. This is the will of the king and my clan's master. If any of you wish to withdraw, you can leave Phoenix Valley right now," the Phoenix clan's manager said indifferently, after which he left. In the next moment, the people from the Six Realms went berserk again. Retreat. Impossible. Whoever dares to be a pussy will become a grandson. Haha. Prehistoric secret world? Awesome. With regards to the prehistoric secret, who would retreat? Only an idiot would retreat. Elder Phoenix, there's no need to speak any further. Just directly open it. I already can't wait any longer. This time, even the young masters of the Six Realms couldn't hold themselves back. This news was simply too violent for them. Moreover, they seemed to have known about this long ago. There wasn't any shock, only anticipation. From afar, when the Phoenix Valley's manager saw this scene, his face revealed a satisfied smile. Immediately after, his body moved, transforming into a super phoenix. Nice! With a long roar, the entire phoenix began to spew out endless flames in the air. And this was only the beginning. Behind him, one phoenix after another soared into the sky, bathing in phoenix fire as if they were pilgrims. Rumble, 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 rumble. And it was also under this kind of power that the entire Phoenix Valley began to shake violently. Immediately, an enormous phoenix silhouette appeared in the sky. It was as if thousands of flames were transforming into illusions. And at the very center of this phoenix phantom was an illusory door. Streams of an ancient aura burst out from within. It was as if there was another world beyond this door. All right, all of you can go in now. However, this time, only the young masters of the various realms are allowed entry. As for the others, the Phoenix clan's manager said, even though he hadn't finished his sentence, the crowd had already understood what he meant. That meant he didn't have the qualifications. However, no one dared to refute him. The young masters of the Six Realms stared blankly for a moment before looking at each other in succession. They had never imagined that there would be such a rule. However, none of the six of them spoke as they looked at each other. It was as if they were waiting for the other party to enter first. However, right at this moment, a figure rushed out from behind him. Without the slightest hesitation, he stepped into the void door. This person was none other than Xiantian. Xiantian's figure entered the room. The few of them could not hold themselves back any longer. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they were about to charge forward. However, at this moment, it was at the side of the Phoenix Phantom. Three figures walked out. Long Fei's gaze swept across everyone present. Who's a master of the Phoenix clan? Get the hell out here. Cold and merciless. As soon as he came up, to Long Fei, the methods of the Phoenix clan were also on his bottom line. Therefore, there was no such thing as saving a good tone for negotiations. Impudent, you dog, actually dare to be disrespectful to the Phoenix ancestor. Who do you think you are? He's too arrogant. I really don't know who gave you the qualifications to be so arrogant. Men, seize this man. The young master of the Six Realms quickly spoke up. But before he could finish, in the middle of the air, Wang Yun suddenly moved. He immediately threw out a punch. Bang, 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 bang. A few of those who wanted to make a move were instantly destroyed by Wang Yun. Too weak. With just you two alone, you dare to fight against my master. How dare you covet my sister-in-law? He's really courting death. As for your qualifications, now is this enough? Wang Yun coldly stated with a disdainful look. Wang Yun didn't even bat an eyelid as he stood there proudly. Wang Yun didn't even bat an eyelid as he stood there proudly. It was as if these people were no longer in his eyes. At this moment, Jiang Chunxiu also took a step forward. With a disdainful look in his eyes, he suddenly moved his hands, lifting up a few people from the Six Realms with one hand. Pa pa pa, clap clap, pow! After 6 consecutive slaps, one person was killed with a single slap. Is it enough now? Jiang Chunxiu said coldly. If one wave wasn't enough, then another wave would come. I'm asking you, is that enough? In an instant, in the entire Phoenix Valley, no one dared to speak. It's you. You are that traitor. He's actually a traitor of the ancient world. No wonder he's so arrogant. You're truly looking to die. You even dare to come here to die after finding nothing, even after stepping on broken iron shoes? Instantly, the people of the 6 realms all grew arrogant. In their eyes, Long Fei was courting death. Right now, the attitude of the people of the 10,000 realms towards Long Fei was the same as erasing him. From start to finish, Long Fei did not utter a single word and directly ignored all of them. As he raised his head, he directly looked at Phoenix, who was in the crowd, and his gaze turned cold. Let me say one more word. Where's the old thing from the Phoenix realm? Get the hell out here. Long Fei said word by word. He stood with his hands behind his back, carrying the fire. He did not put this person in his eyes at all. It was as if only the Phoenix realm mass could pique his interest. At this time, the expression of the Divine Phoenix sect manager below changed as well. It became extremely bitter as he looked at the incomparably arrogant Long Fei, and his eyes darkened. Long Fei, right? I wonder why you have come to my Phoenix Valley? Manager Phoenix said. Even though he said that, in the heart of the manager, he was feeling extremely depressed. How is this possible? How is it possible for him to arrive here so quickly? Now, the master's plan has not started. How can he come here right now? Didn't we find out that he went to the 10,000 Goblins world? That place is tens of millions of light years away from my Phoenix Valley. Even if his flying ship is comparable to a transcendent power, it would still take a few days. The Phoenix supervisor was extremely depressed as he frantically tried to figure it out. But after all, he was currently in Phoenix Valley. How could he possibly submit? What is it? Did your brain get kicked by a donkey? Of course, you came here to ask for an explanation. Did you ask Lousy's woman to marry you all? Who gave you the right to meddle in my woman's affairs? Long Fei said coldly, his eyes overflowing with anger. Long Fei, don't be too presumptuous. I know how much strength you have, but don't forget, this is the Phoenix Valley. Even if Master Zhou comes, he still has to give my Phoenix Valley some face. Who do you think you are? Arrogant. You came to the wrong place. Instantly, all the phoenixes rose up and began to gobble down the hatred. But Long Fei just smiled. Impudent? I'm sorry, this old man is just so arrogant. In my eyes, arrogance knows no boundaries. So what if you're a Phoenix Valley? Even if Zhou was acting cool in front of Lousy, Lousy would still beat him up so badly that even his own mother wouldn't be able to find him. You all, do you have any objections? Long Fei laughed out loud. His eyes began to scan the surroundings. However, everyone still lowered their heads at this moment, not daring to meet Long Fei's gaze. The current Long Fei was berserk, an incomparable arrogance. No one. This was also the decision that he had made before he came to the Phoenix Valley. It was a grand sweep to let the heavens know the outcome of harming one's own woman. Enough. At this moment, an angry shout came from the void. Long Fei raised his head and coincidentally saw the body of an incomparably large phoenix slowly descend. And then, he turned into a human amidst the endless flames. Long Fei, right? I've heard Jojo talk about you. An old lady looked at Long Fei and said. Following her arrival, the people of the Phoenix realm began to clamor once again. Master suppressed him. This guy is too arrogant. He actually dared to provoke the dignity of our Phoenix Valley. Right, we definitely can't let him go. We have to kill him. Countless phoenixes started to roar, flames erupting from their bodies as they felt extremely displeased with Long Fei. Especially now, with the arrival of the Phoenix ancestor, they had someone to rely on in their hearts, and they were even more disdainful towards Long Fei. All of them bared their fangs and brandished their claws, flames erupting, wanting to kill Long Fei. However, Long Fei's mouth twitched and revealed a cold smile. Enough? Long Fei's eyes were filled with cold slander. With a turn of her sleeve, she showed disdain for the air. I said, it's not enough. Since you dare to force my woman, then you must take on my wrath. No one can make my woman suffer. No one can. Long Fei said, domineering beyond compare. Boundless rage was raging in his body. Along the way, his women and brothers had suffered too much for him. Previously, The fact that he didn't possess such strength was already a pain in his heart, and now he was able to do as he pleased. Thus, he had to go berserk. When these words were spoken, everyone glared at each other. He completely did not expect Long Fei to be so arrogant, to the point where he did not even put Phoenix Ancestor in his eyes. At the same time, the Phoenix Ancestor's expression darkened as the Phoenix divine flames on his body burned even more intensely, filling with an aura of destruction. Long Fei, you have truly disappointed me. Do you think you would have survived until now if it wasn't for my help to keep you in check? If not for Jojo, you would have been dead by now. As the Divine Phoenix Grandmaster spoke, his voice was exceptionally cold, and Long Fei, at this time, was also stunned. Of course, towards the words of the Phoenix Ancestor, Long Fei would naturally not believe them all. At the very least, Long Fei wouldn't be able to hear a single word he said about him obstructing Elder Shang. The reason why Honorable Zhou did not take action must be because he had his own thoughts. This was because in the eyes of the Emperor, it was never worth it for him to make a move. It didn't have anything to do with the Phoenix Ancestor at all. But the last sentence was because of Jojo. Long Fei firmly believed it. Stupid woman, you're still thinking for me even now. Long Fei sighed in his heart, inexplicably touched. For a moment, he was even more determined to not let Jojo suffer any more grievances. But also at this time, the Phoenix Ancestor suddenly said, Long Fei, if you want to take Jojo away, then this reputed one will give you this chance. Just like them, enter the prehistoric secret world. If you can reach the end, you can obtain the secret treasury of my Phoenix clan. At that time, you will be my Phoenix clan's son-in-law. Even if all of the realms will witness it for you, I will not let Jojo down. Now let's see if you dare. The Phoenix Ancestor had a calm expression as he suppressed his rage and said indifferently. Long Fei's eyes were also set as he slowly raised his head. You're right. I owe Jojo an eternity. In that case, it shall be as you wish. This prehistoric secret world, I'll go. Long Fei said indifferently. Long Fei said indifferently. Excited? So what? Even if it was for Jojo's sake, Long Fei would not refuse. Lord, this. Be careful of any conspiracy. Jiang Chuanqiu's expression changed. Mind like them. They were all old freaks who had lived for countless years, so they naturally saw through this Phoenix clan master with a single glance. Now that he heard it, he couldn't help but try to persuade Long Fei to enter. They had already guessed that there was a conspiracy. Yeah, my lord, there's no need to waste words with him. Just directly take care of them. Wang Yun's temper flared as he erupted in a frenzy, his fighting spirit soaring to the heavens. But Long Fei shook his head. Whatever. Just for Jojo's sake, Long Fei had to go in. All for the sake of bringing Jojo away openly. Let the heavens bear witness. In Long Fei's heart, this was what he owed Jojo. He owed a promise, owed a future. Therefore, this time, Long Fei had already made up his mind. He would give Jojo an identity under the gaze of the heavens. Don't worry, he's just a secret world. If I want to leave, even if all these pieces of trash add up, they will not be able to keep me here. Long Fei said. He raised his eyes to look at the void phoenix and sneered. He stepped directly into it. Seeing this scene, a meaningful smile immediately surfaced on the Phoenix Master's face, as if the scheme had succeeded. Following that, the Divine Phoenix Grandmaster turned around and looked at the young masters of the 6 realms below him. Now it's your turn. Following that, the Phoenix Ancestor flapped his wings, and a ray of fiery light surged, directly enveloping the 6 of them and throwing them into the sect. It was also at this time that Wang Yun and Jiang Chunqiu also retreated to the side, coldly staring at the people of Phoenix Valley. Old thing, if anything happens to my master, I will have your Phoenix Valley accompany me in death. Wang Yun asked irritably, even though he knew in his heart that with Long Fei's capabilities, even if the entire Phoenix Valley were to move, it might not be possible to keep Long Fei here. However, in this Phoenix Valley, he still did not have the slightest bit of good impression. Not only that, They had long been yearning for a battle, so they could unleash their battle intent. Hence, he didn't want Long Fei to enter. How good would it be to be tough? Only, he would never understand Long Fei's feelings towards him. He could only shout out angrily to vent the anger in his heart. Jiang Chunxiu had a cold expression as well. Unlike Wang Yun, his thoughts were much clearer. Calm down, since the Lord has made his decision. Moreover, indulging in battle is only a matter of time. In the Star Demon world, since these people dared to treat the mistress in such a way, do you think that the Lord would let them off? Jiang Chunxiu said indifferently with a sneer on his face. Upon hearing those words, the fighting intent in Wang Yun's eyes surged once more. The look in his eyes grew even more unfriendly as he stared at the crowd. But at this moment, a flame suddenly ignited around the two of them. Did I give you face? Two reckless fools. Since all of you want to see my skills so much, then today, I shall do as you wish. Divine Flame Blaze Realm. The Phoenix ancestor's eyes were filled with a dark ruthlessness. He suddenly raised both of his hands, without summoning the slightest bit of force. Old thing, a sneak attack. Wang Yun was infuriated. And then it went even crazier as it punched out. Rumble. Boom. As the punch landed, endless flames began to spread. Is that all you've got? Phoenix Ancestor is only SOSO. Wang Yun said. He had an arrogant look on his face. The fighting spirit in his eyes surged. But just as he finished speaking, Jiang Chunxiu's voice was heard. Old War, be careful. Jiang Chunxiu instantly spoke up. Wang Yun still had an arrogant smile on his face. Hearing Jiang Chunxiu's voice, he suddenly turned around. F***CK, your ancestors. He bellowed. The smile on Wang Yun's face instantly vanished. He suddenly punched again. However, it was already too late. Endless flames engulfed his body, engulfing him within in the blink of an eye. It was also at this time that the Divine Phoenix Grandmaster in the air coldly snorted. You overestimate yourself. So what if he's strong? No one can stop my world exterminating flame. Also, you should go in as well. As for Long Fei, you guys don't need to think about it. I have already prepared a plan to kill the heavens, and it would be best if he died inside the secret world. Otherwise, once he comes out, I want him dead. Ha ha ha. The Phoenix Grandmaster laughed madly as the flames in his hands suddenly soared, enveloping Jiang Chunxiu's figure within. At this moment, Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu, who were enveloped within the endless fiery light, were constantly attacking. One after another, violent forces wreaked havoc among them. However, he was unable to break free from the restraints of the flames. However, their powers were also very strong. Even though this flame was known as the world's destruction, it wouldn't be able to kill them in a short amount of time. Old witch, you are a thief if you don't die. However, stop dreaming. If my master comes out from there, it will be the time your Phoenix Valley will be annihilated. Wang Yun hollered, showing no mercy at all. Even if he was trapped in a calamity, he would still go berserk. Then we'll see. Relax. With your strength, you can burn it for 3 days under my world exterminating flame. 3 days from now, it will be the time when your souls are destroyed. If that little bastard Long Fei can come out within 3 days, you might be able to see him die a horrible death at my hands. Ha ha. The Divine Phoenix Grandmaster thought himself to be extremely arrogant and confident, as though everything was within her control. He didn't seem to care at all. At the same time, the people of Phoenix Valley also had wild looks on their faces. Looking at the two people struggling in the flames, it was as if he was looking at a clown as he laughed maniacally. But all of these Long Fei did not know. At this time, after Long Fei entered this door, his eyes immediately turned into a completely different world. An unprecedented feeling of impact rushed into his eyes. Damn, the prehistoric world? Is this really a prehistoric world? Long Fei's heart was also in turmoil. The scene in front of him was something he had never seen before. Compared to back then, when Long Batian had let him see the evolution of the ancient world, he felt that it was even stronger. Here, the stars appeared incomparably large. Here, Mountains reached the sky, and the sea and sky were one. It was as if nothing had ever changed, and it had a primal aura to it. There was no way to sense any power that could be refined here. All of his auras were filled with an endless sense of desolation. No, the old thing from the Phoenix clan definitely wouldn't be so kind as to let me take a look at the prehistoric world. There must be something unexpected here. But what is it? And where exactly is it? Muttering to himself, Long Fei suppressed the shock in his heart and started to think. However, at this moment, the scales that had been silent the entire time began to tremble for no reason. With a thought, the idea entered the system space. Long Batian. Long Fei's face became cautious. Long Fei's face became cautious. It was not as if this dragon scale had never reacted to anything before. However, it was all fleeting. However, things are different now. What lacked Zhang Zhao seemed to have been revived once more, and in the blink of an eye, he was covered in skin. In fact, even when Long Fei was directly immersed in front of him, he still did not retract herself and continued to flicker with light and trembled uncontrollably. It was as if there was something in this group of secret world that was extremely fascinating to him. Long Batian? Long Fei tried to probe. Long Fei wasn't sure if she was dead or not, especially since the last time, the entire dragon scale had practically been broken into pieces, and Long Batian's shadow had also completely disappeared without a trace. Although it had started to recover later on, there was still no trace of Long Batian. However, this time, Long Fei had an intuition, an extremely strong intuition. That was, Long Batian was not dead. Not only did he not die, he had never disappeared, not even sleeping. He had always been looking at himself in the unknown. In a split second, Long Fei's scalp turned numb. The coldness in her heart had reached Sinchun. Long Batian, come out. I know you were in the dragon scale. At this point, is there any point in continuing to hide? Long Fei said. Wong. The dragon scale suddenly flickered. However, it soon calmed down. There was no response at all. Long Batian, aren't you awesome? If you have the guts, come out now. Aren't you angry when you see me killing all of your former generals? Don't you want to kill me? Also, you've long used up all 3 chances. Don't you want to take the system away? Didn't you just say that you want to read my things? Come on. Long Fei was unceasingly excited. However, there was no reaction from within the dragon scale. Helpless, Long Fei could only let them go. As for the dragon scales, it was even more impossible. If Long Batian's plan was really related to Long Lin, then who knows what would happen if she didn't have control over it. If he lost control, it was more likely that he would cause even more unknowable problems. Coward. Long Fei snorted coldly, and the idea returned to him. He once again examined the entire world. It seems that this world does indeed contain many unknown secrets. Otherwise, it would be impossible for even Long Batian to appear here. Long Fei was even more certain and a little more cautious. Prehistoric secret world. This sort of thing was similar to Earth's prehistoric level. Many of the things that modern people see as mere fantasy can appear here. However, this civilization had existed for countless years. A lot of them were already beyond imagination. Then, what kind of existence would this prehistoric secret world be? For a moment, Long Fei was somewhat excited in her heart. Who cares what you are? I am destined to be the only one who can walk out of this secret world. Long Fei said in her heart, and then he started searching with his spiritual mind. However, in that instant, a hint of disbelief immediately appeared in Long Fei's eyes. In this world, there was a mysterious power running amok. Even he couldn't use his spiritual will to search 100 miles, let alone explore it. I can't use my spiritual will. Could it be that someone could control this side of the secret world? They form suppression? Long Fei thought in her heart, and her eyes became even colder. If that was the case, then it was most likely no small feat that the Phoenix Grandmaster had incited him to enter. As he thought about it, Long Fei leaped up and began to rush in on a large scale. However, it was at this moment that a nameless pressure descended. An extremely ancient will came from all directions. In the blink of an eye, it directly pressed on a Long Fei's shoulder, as if to forcibly suppress Long Fei from the air. Long Fei's body suddenly stopped as she let out a stuffy groan. There was an unyielding look in his eyes. You want to suppress me? This amount of strength is not enough. With a cold laugh, Long Fei abruptly straightened his back, stood proudly between heaven and earth, and took a step forward, moving unhindered horizontally across 50 kilometers. And this power, at this moment, became even more violent. The whole place was beginning to become restless. Numerous forces were gathering from the unknown lands. Do you want to target Lousy that much? Long Fei's eyes also turned cold as she looked at the energy whirlpools that were sweeping towards him. The cold light in his eyes became even stronger. In that case, let's see if we can crush him. Long Fei's eyes slanted and all the pores on his body opened up. The power of his body, which was revered by the era, surged to the limit in an instant. Take it head on. That's crazy. Waves of energy started to bombard Long Fei's body. But Long Fei did not move. She continued to walk in the courtyard. Step by step, she was walking forward. And at this time, in a certain corner of this prehistoric secret world, Xian Tian was crouching on the ground, breathing heavily. It was obvious that he too had been ravaged by this power. What a strong power! It's like the will of the world. Even I am unable to withstand it. If it weren't for the fact that you have reformed my body would have already contained limitless possibilities. I'm afraid that my body would have already been suppressed by this power. It seems that the Phoenix clan is not a good person either. But unfortunately, with the methods that you have bestowed upon me, no matter what, the plans of your Phoenix clan will go bankrupt. Xian Tian coldly smiled. He was extremely pleased with himself. It was as if the power of the prehistoric secret world had no effect on him, causing him to be extremely excited. You can't be too awesome. However, at this moment, his gaze suddenly froze. This power. Instantly, Xian Tian's expression turned incomparably cold. Seeing the overwhelming power, he was about to attack. However, before he could even use any methods, he discovered that the power had whistled past him. It completely ignored him and vanished without a trace. Are you afraid? Haha, is this all the Phoenix clan has? If that's the case, then what else do I have to worry about? Xian Tian laughed loudly. Then, he took out a pyramid-shaped crystal. The Phoenix clan dared to recklessly go against the king. However, you have seen through me. The so-called secret should be the body of that prehistoric phoenix. You want to use us to activate and let your phoenix race soar into the sky. It doesn't exist. This time, I'll let you know what it means to steal a chicken, but not eat it. The phoenix body is mine now. Xian Tian laughed heartily as he tossed the crystal in his hand. In an instant, it flew out of his hands. Xian Tian's figure also disappeared as he followed. Similarly, at this time, in different parts of the secret world, the young masters of the Six Realms were using their own methods to escape the suppression of the nameless power. Finally, when he looked at the force that was moving in all directions, disdain flashed at the corner of his mouth. And then, almost at the same time, a phoenix image suddenly appeared on his body, flying towards the center of the secret world. Only Long Fei was still advancing forward step by step. The heck, there's no end to it, right? Long Fei bellowed. Long Fei bellowed. Anger burned in his eyes. Originally, Long Fei wanted to force it. She used her physical body to break free from the shackles of this nameless power. However, this power did not end there, causing Long Fei to feel extremely agitated. He was extremely unhappy. Instantly, Long Fei punched out. Boom! With the eruption of his fist, the boundless power that descended from the skies was annihilated by Long Fei's fist, bringing about a wave of clarity. Again, Long Fei's eyes focused. As she turned around, she punched again. Ryuyun blow. Boom! In the blink of an eye, The power that engulfed heaven and earth was immediately scattered by Long Fei. In fact, these powers were now filled with fear. Long Fei's location that spanned 50 kilometers immediately became forbidden. These energies were still surging, but at most they only dared to hover in the air, not daring to get any closer to Long Fei. This scene made Long Fei even more certain that there must be some sort of power that she did not know of within this so-called prehistoric secret world. And it was targeting him. Damn, no matter who you are, I will drag you out and kill you. Long Fei said coldly. Just as he finished speaking, he suddenly felt the system dimension shake again. It was none other than the dragon scales that were wildly jumping about. And this time, it was even more violent. It was as if he was trying to struggle free from Long Fei's control. And at the same time, Long Fei also felt that an inexplicable call in the center of Secret World had actually formed some sort of connection with this dragon scale. It was as if they were from the same sect, and it was extremely true. Long Fei's eyes also moved in an instant as her gaze locked onto the center of Secret World. As expected, within this secret world, there is power that you yearn for. Long Fei understood. He immediately cut off the connection to the system space, got up, and flew straight to the center of Secret World. And this time, the energy spiraling in the air didn't even dare to get close to Long Fei. From beginning to end, it just stood there 100 kilometers away, helplessly watching Long Fei's figure disappear into the distance. Outside the Secret World, inside the Phoenix Valley, as the prehistoric Secret World opened, time passed in a flash. The people in Phoenix Valley also became restless. His gaze continuously landed on the phoenix that was in the middle of the air. Extremely earnest. It was as if he was eagerly waiting for something. A day has already passed. Why hasn't there been any news? Why is there no sound at all? The phoenix ancestor said that there's only 3 days of time, and 3 days later, they will be inside forever. What should we do? My world god, a boundary, said that we must take care of the young master. If something happens to the young lord, how do I account for it? Everyone was restless. The most exaggerated of them all were the people of the 6 realms. At this moment, he could no longer remain calm. However, no one answered them. Immediately, someone stood up and looked at the Phoenix Clan's manager. Sir, can you open this secret world? My divine realm wishes to withdraw. Yes, sir. My immortal trail realm also wants to leave. So do I, the domineering tyrant realm. One by one, the people of the 6 realms had already lost their confidence. Compared to them, they were more worried about their own lives. In addition, they understood the importance of their young master. Not to mention facing Long Fei. Even the revered profound sky continent was miles away from him. Previously, they weren't worried. It was because he believed that his master was the god of boundary of a super strong realm. He believed that no one dared to make a move. However, as time went on, they lost more and more confidence and wanted their young master to withdraw. However, their thoughts were too good. At this time, the attitude of the Phoenix Clan's manager had undergone a complete 180 degrees change. Exit? How is that possible? Weren't all of them clamoring to take away my clan's holy maiden? We're giving them a chance. It's impossible to quit. Unless someone really steps out of the secret world, this place will only open. Otherwise, I'll always be trapped inside, the Phoenix Clan chief said. The sneer did not stop there. The faces of those from the 6 realms changed drastically. How dare you? Nonsense. Open it for me. Otherwise, don't blame us for not showing mercy. Yes, your Phoenix Clan is awesome, but don't forget, we are also in a super strong realm. If we were to fight head-on, who knows who will kill who? Yes, I won't be able to see you in person. Open the secret world and let my young master out. Everything will be fine. The people of the 6 realms fell out. Unfortunately, it was useless. TSK. Are you trying to cause trouble? With just you bunch of trash? What? Could it be that you also want to try my Phoenix Clan's world-exterminating divine flame? The Phoenix Clan chief said. His eyes were still looking towards the void. He saw that Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu, who had been burnt by the world-exterminating divine flame for the entire day, looked dejected as they continued to use their powers to dissolve the flames. The people of the six realms became silent as soon as they heard these words. Their expressions were gloomy and cold, but they didn't dare to say a single word. It was also at this time that six figures suddenly appeared outside of Phoenix Valley. So. It was the god of boundary of the six realms. The instant the god of boundary of the six realms descended, it immediately came to their respective worlds and inquired about the whereabouts of its own son. Anu, where's my son? Shingha, where's my son? It was the same. However, God of Boundary's expression quickly darkened as it abruptly looked towards the sky. Phoenix Ancestor, can you open Secret World and send my son out? That's right, Phoenix Ancestor. The reason for our cooperation this time is to kill Long Fei. As for this marriage, it's fine if you don't want it. Yes, Phoenix Ancestor, as long as my son is released, I will definitely go all out this time to kill Long Fei. All of the god of boundary of the six realms spoke out. It was also at this time that another streak of fiery light appeared behind the Void Phoenix. The figure of the Phoenix Ancestor walked out from the flames. Kill Long Fei? No. You are probably mistaken. My goal has never been just to kill Long Fei. As for you two, come in as well. The Divine Phoenix Grandmaster shouted loudly, and in the blink of an eye, a streak of fiery light descended from the sky. And at that moment, the entire Phoenix Valley became a fireball. It was like a world in fire. Ah! Phoenix Ancestor, what are you doing? No, Divine Phoenix Ancestor. Do you want to go against the will of the evil? In an instant, countless howls of agony could be heard. But then, in the blink of an eye, the sound was drowned out by the flames and disappeared. Of course, Long Fei did not know about everything that had happened here. The scene changed. At this time, Long Fei had already followed the reaction of the dragon scale and arrived at the center of Secret World. Long Fei could also clearly feel the desire that came from the dragon scale. And in front of Long Fei, she saw a scene that made his heart stop beating. F***K. Is this an unmarked cemetery? Everything in front of him was incredulous. The giant, unknown corpse stretched across the world. It was shaped like a giant crater, and its body was shaped like a mountain. It was also incomparably large scales, and 10,000 feet of dried bones one after another. All of these indicated that an unparalleled battle had occurred here. At the same time, Long Fei also felt that in the space within the system, the scales were violently trembling. It was extremely urgent. He even wanted to break the system suppression. But the more it was like this, the colder Long Fei's heart became. A cold smile flashed across his eyes as he directly said, Long Batian, you want to come out? It doesn't exist. Let me suppress it. With an angry roar, the blood aura on Long Fei's body surged, passed through the system space, and directly suppressed onto the dragon's scale. In the blink of an eye, the dragon's scale started to shine with a cold light. Streaks of scarlet light appeared on the shattered patterns on the scales as they continuously trembled. It was as if he was extremely infuriated. Anger. The more angry I am, the more I can't let you succeed. I gave you face, but you refused. Are you going to come out? Are you angry now? Too late. Long Fei taunted. However, he was still a little more cautious about what was happening in front of him. How could something that even Long Batian desire be simple? Needless to say, it must be something from that era. It might even be related to the return of Long Batian's reincarnation. Therefore, it was impossible for Long Fei to allow the power of the dragon scale to have any form of contact with this place. With that thought, Long Fei sealed the system's space in all directions. With the system, no matter how many plans Long Batian had, it would all be useless. It was at this moment that a true void fluctuated. Soon, figures appeared one after another from all around. 6 figures, one after another. However, a hint of surprise appeared in Long Fei's eyes at this moment. He wasn't unfamiliar with these 6 people. They were none other than the young lords of the 6 realms. However, the six of them seemed to have lost their minds, as if they were all puppets that had been pulled along by someone. With dull eyes, he walked step by step towards the prehistoric cemetery. Even Long Fei's figure could not be seen. The Phoenix race is really ruthless. When they are ruthless, they even kill their own people. Long Fei thought. His eyes moved. He had already seen through the people before him. They had all been controlled a long time ago, and each of them had the image of a phoenix on their backs. Needless to say, it was definitely done by the Divine Phoenix Grandmaster. I want to know what exactly you're planning. Long Fei's eyes moved, his body flickered, and he started to secretly follow. It was at this moment that 6 people entered. In the center of the entire secret world, there began to be unceasing changes. Boom! Rumble. The entire graveyard began to shake violently. Crash! Countless dried bones began to wither. In the midst of the shock, they directly turned into fine powder before disappearing without a trace. Of course, there were also some existences that were extremely powerful. They stood unmoving under this kind of power, as though they weren't affected by this power at all. One of them was a mountain of scales. Following the change in the situation, the look in Long Fei's eyes became colder and colder. At this moment, the power within the deep pit erupted forth. Long Fei was even more certain that this was the Phoenix clan's conspiracy. From the beginning till the end, opening this so-called prehistoric secret world was a plot that had been plotted for God knows how long. In fact, Long Fei was extremely familiar with this power. It was the power that was aimed at him before, the power that wanted to suppress him. In other words, he had been targeted the moment he had entered this place. Thinking to hear, Long Fei's gaze pierced through the endless cemetery. She wanted to see through this power, to see what was buried in this pit. But in an instant, a ball of light instantly flashed. It blocked Long Fei's line of sight. Damn, that was close. Long Fei retracted her gaze. In that instant, that beam of light had actually caused his eyes to feel a stinging pain. Is this really a living, prehistoric creature? Yuan Feng? Long Fei's heart trembled. It was too shocking. Inexplicably, this word popped out in Long Fei's mind. Furthermore, the more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. In Long Beishan's era, he was the world's first dragon. Some said it was a dragon, some said it was an ancestral dragon. Then, in that era, it was not surprising for a phoenix to appear. Zhu Long, Yuan Feng? Damn it, could it be that this will be the battle that will result in the creation of the world? Long Fei was amazed. This kind of thing, on Earth, wasn't as simple as a myth. It was an era even older than the mythical world. In the legends, it could even be considered a legend. If it really is, then this so-called secret world is awesome. And there's definitely more than one. Long Fei's heart was in turmoil. He was slightly excited. To Long Fei, the appearance of this prehistoric secret world, it did not just mean the birth of some ancient power. This also meant that powerful existences could reappear one after another. To Long Fei, these existences were the boss's experience and divine treasures. They were berserk again and again. Regarding these, Long Fei had always collected as much as she came. The stronger he became, the more excited Long Fei became. Moreover, this also meant that all the mysteries regarding Long Batian would also be unraveled step by step. And to Long Fei, it would also be a release. Long Beishan's figure had accompanied him for too long, and recently, he had started to get restless. Therefore, Long Fei hoped to solve this problem as soon as possible. Just as he was deep in thought, the vibrations ahead grew stronger and stronger. At this moment, the young masters of the 6 realms had painful expressions on their faces. It was as if their souls were being torn apart as they roared and soared into the sky. Ayo, ayo, ayo. What is that thing? Get the hell out of my body. Phoenix primordial fire? Phoenix ancestor. F*** K your ancestor. No, this is a call to something, my life. The 6 voices woke up, but what awaited them was a baptism of death. The 6 phoenix silhouettes were rapidly growing behind them, constantly absorbing their life force and soul force. Moreover, he couldn't break free at all. No matter how the six struggled, no matter how many techniques they used, it was to no avail. In the distance, Long Fei watched with trepidation. As he watched the six phoenix silhouettes grow increasingly resplendent in the sky, his eyes narrowed. Looks like the Divine Phoenix Grandmaster has already planned this long ago, using the name JoJo as a gimmick. The true purpose is to use the power of the strongest blood vein in the six realms to carry out a sacrifice. Summon what she wants. As expected, Old Ginger is spicier, Long Fei said indifferently. Looking at the six people who were slowly losing their lives, Long Fei sighed in her heart. All of this was part of the Phoenix Ancestors' scheme. Moreover, everything had been planned well in advance. And at this time, the life force of the six people was finally sucked dry. The phoenix hovering in the air became more and more solid, as if it really existed. Swish! The six phoenixes flapped their wings in unison, giving off a sense of etiquette. Bang! At this moment, a loud explosion erupted from the pit. Rumble! Amidst the booming, a streak of fiery light lit up the world. Amidst the booming, a streak of fiery light lit up the world. It directly enveloped the six phoenixes that had devoured the power of the young masters of the six realms. Shwa shwa shwa. All of a sudden, the sky was set ablaze. Under the fiery light, the figures of the six phoenixes continuously changed. Flaming rebirth? And it's still constantly getting stronger? Long Fei focused her eyes. It was already unbelievable. They felt that for the sake of this day, the Phoenix Clan's plans were unimaginable. He had originally thought that with such a ritual like this, he would be able to fish out a boss. However, he never would have thought that it was actually to constantly strengthen the six phoenixes in front of him. For a moment, even Long Fei had some doubts in her heart. What is the Phoenix race playing at? Long Fei thought. What was happening right in front of his eyes was a little beyond Long Fei's imagination. Had expected that after the sacrifice, it would be the time for all the secrets of the prehistoric secret world to be revealed. However, he didn't expect that it would be the opposite. He had thought that Lu Zuanfeng was doing it as a sacrifice. But from the looks of it now, it was actually helping them. Nice! But at this moment, one of the six phoenixes suddenly let out a sharp cry. It suddenly changed its direction, heading straight towards Long Fei, flying towards him. Instantly, Long Fei fiercely jumped out from the middle-aged man in the sky. F***, they're trying to mess with me. After cursing angrily, Long Fei didn't have enough time to think any further and dodged the attack. Boom! The instant Long Fei's figure disappeared, the phoenix's flames burned instantly. It was only a moment away. Long Fei was engulfed by the flames. In an instant, Long Fei's eyes also became cold and detached. F***, there's no end, right? Your elder just entered here, and he's already targeting me. Now, you have fused your power into these six phoenixes and even attacked your father. Looks like you want to cause trouble with Lousy, right? Since that's the case, let's give it a try. True flames also rose in Long Fei's heart. Initially, because of the dragon scale, Long Fei had even wanted to quietly get rich and completely settle this secret. But unexpectedly, there seemed to be a kind of willpower in the secret world that was always against him. Keep making trouble. It directly destroyed Long Fei's plan. However, since it had already been exposed, Long Fei didn't want to continue hiding it. Since the Yellow Sparrow couldn't make it, he would just become a hunter and kill everything in his path. Saying that, Long Fei's body trembled. A punch was fired out. Boom! His punches were like dragons, savage to the extreme. At this moment, the body of the G realm was surging to its limit. Without any mercy, he directly blasted into the endless sea of fire, his fist bombarding that phoenix away. Illo! One punch. No matter how powerful the phoenix was, it was still not a match for the power of Long Fei's fist. A blood-curdling screech rang out. It was incomparably miserable. As for Long Fei, she also had no intention to stop at this point. She directly took a step forward and caught the phoenix in her hands with her two hands. He pulled with both hands. Sigh. The phoenix wings were directly snapped apart by Long Fei, and countless phoenix feathers withered bit by bit. However, this phoenix was formed from power and did not have a physical body. After being killed by Long Fei, they disappeared in a thin air. They didn't even give him any EXP. But right now, Long Fei didn't care about that. Come on, aren't you targeting me? There's still 5 phoenixes. No, phoenixes, there's only one phoenix in this world, and that is my woman. You are all featherless animals. Long Fei said arrogantly. As he said that, Long Fei's gaze turned cold. He took a step forward and poured himself into the center of the deep pit. It was also at this time that the 5 phoenixes also started to attack Long Fei crazily. His body began to emit boundless flames. In the blink of an eye, it was as if she wanted to wrap Long Fei up in the center and melt him. However, this kind of power was completely useless against Long Fei. Long Fei's body had already merged with the roots of the Great Way of the Buddha, and even more so fused with the power of ruins. Every single type of strength could be said to be the strongest. Now, it had been developed to the limit. A mere flame would not harm him at all. Ryu. Streams of flames continued to spurt onto Long Fei's body. But Long Fei's expression did not change as she arrogantly said, "Come, continue. Damn it, I don't care who you are, but since you dare to attack me, I will not let you go. Wait till I kill these beasts, then we'll see what kind of existence you are." Long Fei said. The power in his body gathered abruptly. He clenched his fists. Boom! An incomparably explosive aura burst forth from Long Fei's body, and instantly, countless flames were dispersed by the air waves formed by Long Fei's aura. Rumble! Countless flames were annihilated, and even the 5 phoenixes were sent flying backwards. Each and every one of the phoenix feathers on their bodies began to slide down, and in the blink of an eye, they became hairless phoenixes. As for Long Fei, her footsteps still remained the same. They did the same thing. One by one, they were torn apart. It was simple and crude, without the slightest pause. After finishing all of this, Long Fei's figure had already arrived above the deep pit. She looked down at the crater of the volcano, which had a radius of 300 meters as she laughed, her eyes full of contempt. The crater of the volcano was the source of all power. Regardless of whether it was the power that was previously aimed at him, trying to suppress him, or was it just now that the reason why these phoenixes attacked him was because of this? In other words, as long as he could destroy this place, all the mysteries of this prehistoric secret world would be solved. In the midst of his silence, Long Fei took a step forward. As for the young master of the 6 realms who was in the midst of dying, Long Fei didn't even bother to take a glance at him, as she was in the middle of the air, where she had already been devoured by energy. He arrived at the top of the volcano. The secret treasure of the Phoenix clan, right? This old man does not care what background you have from the Phoenix clan, or whether you are the first Phoenix in the world. You're out of luck for messing with your father today. As Long Fei said this, all of the power in her body condensed onto that fist and fiercely smashed out. Boom! The sound of an intense explosion rang out. The entire crater of the volcano was destroyed by Long Fei's fist. This time, the entire prehistoric cemetery was engulfed in flames. Countless broken bones turned into dust. As for Long Fei, she was also forced to continuously retreat under the impact. Ryu. Fiery flames filled the sky, wreaking havoc everywhere. The entire world was filled with an aura of destruction. While in this world of endless flames, Long Fei stood tall and straight, not panicking in the slightest. This kind of flame was indeed very strong. Even Long Fei could feel that within her body, the speed at which her energy circulated was increasing, so that she could withstand the berserking destructive force. Truly powerful. No wonder even the Divine Phoenix Grandmaster took so much effort to dig you out. But it's a pity. If it wasn't for you plotting against me, perhaps you would really have succeeded. Letting me in is a mistake. You will never have the chance to be born. As time passed, the entire secret world was already burned by the flames. As time passed, the entire secret world was already burned by the flames. As far as the eye could see, apart from the light of the fire, there was nothing else. Furthermore, the flames were growing more and more powerful, as if they wanted to destroy the entire secret world. At the same time, Long Fei also charged straight into the crater of the volcano. And what Long Fei did not know was that at this time, underneath the volcano, in another space, a figure was looking at him proudly. Ha ha, lucky chance, lucky chance. I never would have thought that this emperor would have such an opportunity. Long Fei, you little bastard, just you wait. Long Baishan's reincarnation body? Bullshit. Once this emperor refines this power, even if Long Batian is reborn, this daddy will kill him again. This voice belonged to none other than Xian Tian. At this moment, the pyramid in Xian Tian's hands was floating above his head. Rays of energy were absorbed by the pyramid from the giant claws and flowed into Xian Tian's body. Xian Tian's aura grew more and more powerful. In less than a few moments, the power within the bones was completely absorbed by Xian Tian. Xian Tian also opened his eyes. Ha ha ha, Ancestor Dragon. It's nothing. I never would have thought that such a power is contained in this place. This emperor can turn the situation around. This time, this emperor will make all of the heavens and all of the realms tremble beneath this emperor's feet. Ha ha, Long Fei, you better hurry up and appear. This emperor can't wait to see you beg for mercy like a dog in front of me. Xian Tian laughed loudly. However, at this moment, the space trembled. Xian Tian's expression changed as he abruptly raised his head. An incomparable fireball shot towards him. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the entire space was destroyed and nothing remained. Even Xian Tian could not react to this power. The bald man was instantly burnt to a crisp. All the hair on his body turned to dust under this force. Not only that, even the defensive armor on his body was melted. This is the aura of a phoenix. Ancient phoenix body? Ha ha ha, awesome. Once I obtain this power, who in this world can possibly be my match? Phoenix body. Ha, I'm here. After a moment of astonishment, Xian Tian went even crazier. Laughter. He didn't even care about the changes in his body. Everything outside was just like floating clouds. Right now, in his heart, he wanted to be strong. As long as he could obtain strength, even if he had to pay more, he wouldn't hesitate to do so, let alone a mere bag of skin. In that instant, Xian Tian's figure constantly moved forward. It crazily rushed in the direction of the descending fireball. On the other side, after Long Fei had descended, she was also moved by the scene before her eyes. Damn, is he being reborn from the fire? Long Fei was shocked by the scene in front of him. One could only see streams of indescribably powerful flames spreading throughout the entire world. And at the center of this flame, a phoenix was sleeping soundly. But what could be seen with the naked eye was that as the flames burned, the phoenix's aura became even more condensed. In comparison, the power of flame Long Fei had faced before was nothing. Compared to the power in front of him, it was like a child playing house. It was just a joke. More than that, what truly shocked Long Fei the most was the phoenix itself. Even though he was still in deep sleep, Long Fei still found it difficult to face him directly. A towering pressure was continuously released. It was as if each feather carried an earth-shattering power. Is this phoenix ancestor's plan? This so-called secret is the body of the phoenix in front of me. Long Fei thought and looked at it seriously. Soon after, Long Fei's eyes narrowed. So what if you have the body of a phoenix? If you anger lousy, I'll do the same. He bellowed. Long Fei unleashed all her firepower, pushing the strength of her flesh to the limit. With a flip of his hand, he struck out with the 7-star fist. Ryu and blow. Boom, boom, boom. Punch after punch. Long Fei's entire being seemed to have fallen into a berserk state. She continuously punched out, with no signs of stopping. Under Long Fei's bombardment, the entire space began to gradually collapse. Even the flames outside the Phoenix were dispersed by Long Fei. However, to Long Fei's disappointment, the Phoenix body within the flames did not move an inch. Other than the aura being released getting stronger and stronger, there were no other changes. Long Fei muttered to himself. This scene caused Long Fei's heart to sink. An immortal body, the saying of the Phoenix and the undead bird continued. Every time he underwent nirvanic rebirth, he would become even more powerful. A fire can be reborn. However, this did not mean that the Phoenix was truly immortal and indestructible. In front of absolute strength, anything that didn't die was just a joke. Just like how Long Fei had beheaded a Phoenix that was behaving arrogantly in front of him, she suppressed it with a flick of a finger. But now, all of his strength was useless. Not to mention breaking the Phoenix's body, even the power of fire in this space couldn't completely dissipate. I don't believe it. There is no indestructible power in this world. If there is, then it can only be lousy. Long Fei said coldly, and the anger on her face grew even stronger. Then, with a flash of light, the edge of the God of Boundary appeared in Long Fei's hand. Raging Dragon's Town. Long Fei casually slashed out. Instantly, a 30,000-meter-long berserk dragon instantly streaked across the sky, and as it roared, it directly started moving towards the Phoenix within the flames, engulfing it. However, in the next moment, Long Fei was immediately stunned. Following the appearance of the wild dragon, the Phoenix body within the flames actually erupted with an incomparably wild, killing intent. It was as if he was about to wake up. This killing intent seemed as if it contained the will of eternity, incomparably wild and brutal. Even from 100 miles away, Long Fei still felt a chill in her heart. Hate the dragons? And, with the enmity of destiny, could it really be a world-seizing battle? Long Fei guessed in her heart, but her eyes became more solemn. However, at this time, the Phoenix within the flames once again underwent a change. He spat out a wisp of flame from his mouth. However, this wisp of flame was completely different from before. Just the aura itself was enough to make Long Fei feel a sense of danger. Instantly, Long Fei moved. In the time it took him to turn around, Long Fei immediately slashed out with his blade, ripping space apart as he attempted to cross over. However, the blow ricocheted back as if it had met something, and in front of Long Fei, a figure had also appeared. Who else could it be if not Xian Tian? But at this moment, Xian Tian's entire arm was bleeding, and on his chest there was a deep, shocking line of blood. Long Fei, it's you, you bastard. This emperor is going to kill you. Xian Tian roared. Long Fei was also startled. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in the past, his eyes slightly narrowed. Emperor Xian. Long Fei's eyes moved as she looked at the figure that appeared in front of him. Long Fei's eyes moved as she looked at the figure that appeared in front of him. A vicious feeling was born in his heart. He was certain that he had killed the Emperor Xian. Otherwise, the system wouldn't have exploded. However, the person who appeared in front of them not only had the same appearance and aura as the Emperor Xian, he was even stronger. As for Xian Tian, his face was filled with rage as well. Initially, his heart had been filled with endless yearning as he tried to enter from another space to steal the body of the Phoenix. But unexpectedly, just as he was about to tear apart the spatial barrier, he was slashed by Long Fei. His entire body was dripping with blood, and he looked extremely ferocious. Long Fei, this emperor is going to kill you, Xian Tian silently said. A dense killing intent soared to the sky, and these words also made Long Fei even more certain. This was the Emperor Xian, but it was definitely not the Emperor Xian from before. I never would have thought that you actually survived. However, back then, he was lofty and arrogant. Now that he has become a dog from the noble world, how does it feel to be him? Does it feel good to kneel and lick? Long Fei sneered, her eyes full of disdain. At that time, Jizun had once again gathered the shattered and completely annihilated Emperor Xian in the ancient world, and even took away the remnant souls. However, in Long Fei's eyes, death meant death. Even if they were to regroup, they would still become a machine that carried all the memories and emotions of the Emperor Xian. In other words, the Emperor Xian in front of him was an artificial species. It couldn't even compare to a demonic beast. You don't know what it means. The strength of a kingdom is far beyond what an ant like you can imagine. A piece of trash like you doesn't even have the qualifications to be loyal to Zhou Zun. It just so happens that today's old and new grudges will be resolved together, Xin Tian coldly said. She turned a blind eye to Long Fei's mockery. He wouldn't listen at all. Long Fei was also stunned. If it was in the past, Emperor Xian would absolutely not respect others. Even the Emperor Xian back then had submitted under the hand of the Emperor. But he also had his own pride. But now it was completely a licking dog. From beginning to end, he had become someone else's slave machine. Sadly, at that time, at least you could still make me be your opponent. Now you don't even have the interest to get me to act. Long Fei said indifferently, extremely disdainful. If the dead Emperor Xian knew that her own body was being kept alive in such a manner, she would probably be extremely unwilling to accept this. The more a powerhouse was, the more unwilling they would be to be ordered around by others. How laughable! You don't have any interest in making a move. Long Fei, you little bastard, do you think this emperor will still be the same as before? This emperor chose to live for the sake of killing you. Not only that, this emperor will also take over your dragon court and accept your woman. As for your brother, your son, just kill him. And all of this, I will make you watch with your eyes wide open. I will make you wish you were dead. Xian Tian bellowed. It was as if he was enraged by Long Fei's words. In the blink of an eye, a triangular crystal appeared in his hand. Bastard. Today, I'll show you what absolute power is. Kirin break. Xian Tian gave a loud roar, after which the crystal on top of the pyramid suddenly flashed, releasing an extremely powerful force. The power was channeled into Xian Tian's body. This caused Xian Tian's body to become even more berserk. And then, on his entire arm, there were actually many scales, incomparably ferocious. Faintly, the roars of a qilin could be heard. As for Long Fei, she became even more excited at this moment. Dragon, Phoenix, qilin, they all appeared. It was just like the legendary draconic tribulation in the Legends of Earth. Even if it were to be replicated, it would be more than enough to shock Long Fei. And at this time, Long Fei couldn't think too much about it. She slashed out with her backhand. With a turn of the god of boundaries blade, the berserk dragon's town world appeared once again. Roar! A wild dragon was born. Its body was tens of thousands of feet long, and it was incomparably violent. Boom! Asterisk at this time, Xian Tian's fist also landed. There was also the image of a qilin running on his fist. Waves of trampling power came from his fist. It was as if all existence, under the trampling power of the qilin, had turned into a bubble. Ryu and Blel. The two types of forces collided, forming a massive vortex of power. The dragon roared and the qilin roared, as if it was repeating the battle that had erupted in this prehistoric graveyard. It was incomparably savage and cruel, and Long Fei and Xian Tian, who were in the midst of battle, could even more so sense the energy that was colliding with each other. The colossal dragon rolled on the ground as the scales on its body continued to fall. But Kirin wasn't much better off either. His internal organs were torn apart by the dragon claw, and in a blink of an eye, he was on the verge of collapse. Ha, Long Fei, did you see that? Your power is no longer effective in front of me. Back then, this emperor died to your blade. But now it's useless. You have Long Baishan's power, but this emperor has the qilin ancestral energy. What else can you do? When I truly refine this power, even if you are before me, you will only become a dog. Xian was incomparably arrogant. Looking at how he destroyed Long Fei's power with a single punch, he was extremely excited. Are you King crazy? You're not the same you were before. Your father is standing still at his original spot. I was able to kill you with a single slash, and now I want to kill you as well. Long Fei retorted. After he finished speaking, he was about to attack again. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. The phoenix, which had been bathed in fire and reborn, actually began to raise its head in that instant. Not only that, at the moment the phoenix lifted its head, tens of millions of threads of flame also appeared. In the blink of an eye, the entire space had been weaved into a fiery web. At this moment, whether it was Long Fei or Xian, both of their expressions changed greatly. The aura coming from this fire net was too strong, and it had long since exceeded the scope of normal strength. It was as if even the heavens and earth would turn to dust under this flame. Long Fei's pupils also changed. He coldly looked at Emperor Xian, straightened his gaze, and went berserk. It looks like the Phoenix clan's layout is about to succeed. The Phoenix has awoken. If it knows that you have obtained the power of the Qilin, what will happen? Long Fei chuckled and instantly attacked again. The god of Boundary Blade continued to slash from her hand. As for Xian, his face was filled with panic. Especially after Long Fei had finished speaking, his eyes fixed directly upon the restless Phoenix. In that instant, resolution flashed across his eyes. Humph, Long Fei, don't be too complacent. Once this emperor has refined his power, you will die. Once Xian changed into a crazed fist strike, he did not dare to clash with Long Fei head-on. As he did so, he used his own hands to tear a part of the void apart, then instantly disappeared into it. Want to run? That will depend on whether you have the ability to do so. He coldly snorted. Long Fei's figure also immediately followed after that figure at this moment, because at this moment, it did not matter who the Emperor Xian was. In Long Fei's eyes, all of them had to die. From the moment Long Fei entered this world, she had to control the system. From the moment Long Fei entered this world, she had to control the system. Emperor Xian was a mortal enemy, Destiny's destined enemy. The reason why they kept shuttling back and forth between planes and kept going up to the top was so that they could destroy the Emperor Xian in the end, even if the real Emperor Xian was already dead. But looking at this existence who was staring at the Emperor Xian in such a manner, with its own memories and emotions, Long Fei was similarly unable to tolerate it. Long Fei did not care about the Phoenix's body. The Emperor Xian that had just died was the most important thing. So in an instant, Long Fei had directly chased after him. It was also at this time that the Long Fei tore apart the void. The entire prehistoric secret world began to crumble. At this moment, the phoenix that was bathing in the flames also opened its eyes. Whiz! In the next moment, the fiery phoenix shot up into the sky, and the entire secret world also exploded. At the same time, within the Phoenix Valley, the door that was floating in midair also shattered at this moment. The entire illusory phoenix also disappeared. Swish, swish. Long Fei and Xian figures appeared one after another. It was just that there was no sign of the Phoenix Valley in front of him at all, as it had long since become a world within fire. And Long Fei was even able to find the location of Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu with a single glance. At this moment, both of them were enveloped in raging flames. His body was already starting to crack. One had to know their current combat power was comparable to that of the star demon god of Boundary. They were like the leaders of the myriad worlds. With such a cultivation, he was being tormented like this by the flames. It could be seen that the Phoenix ancestors' methods were definitely not ordinary, and only the divine Phoenix Grandmaster was able to unleash such power. Otherwise, the existence of the other Phoenix Realm S would not even be enough for Wang Yun to kill. Is this a bloodbath? Long Fei was startled. The entire Phoenix Valley had become a world of fire, and endless flames were everywhere. As expected, Under this kind of flame, other than the people from the Phoenix clan, no one else had a way out. At this time, there was no longer a single member of the Phoenix clan present here. Only the people of the Six Realms were struggling madly in the flames. There were even remnants that were almost burnt to ashes. Moreover, it couldn't be considered as already dead, having turned into ashes. It could be seen that Phoenix Valley had truly used his killing move this time. Not only him, even Xian Tian's face was filled with shock as he stared at the scene in front of him. Disorderly subject. Old thing from the Phoenix clan. They really did it. You're right. However, everything is in the hands of the Emperor. All of you must die. Just wait to be suppressed. Emperor Xian was extremely cold. And at this moment, Long Fei's expression stiffened as well. He had a much higher opinion of the Emperor. However, the killing intent of Xian Tian remained undiminished. This was a hatred that was deeply branded in his bones. Even if it was only a puppet, it would no longer be the same as before, and Long Fei would not be able to endure it. With that thought, Long Fei stopped in her tracks and coldly looked at Xian Tian. No matter how much you play, no matter how much trouble you cause, don't joke with me. If you say you want to die, you should die. Do you think you're a King Yama? Even if you are Yin Luo, your father will beat you down. Long Fei said. What he hated the most was this kind of haughty attitude, as if everything was in their hands. At this time, Xian Tian also looked towards Long Fei. Long Fei, don't be arrogant. Even if this emperor can't kill you today, you want to do something to this emperor? It doesn't exist. You can't do it in a prehistoric secret world, and you can't do it here. Your methods are unable to stop this emperor. If this emperor wants to leave, no one can stop me. Xian Tian laughed loudly, the hatred in his eyes overflowing to the heavens. Regardless of whether he admitted it or not, he was not a match for Long Fei at all. Even if he obtained some kind of power related to Qilance, it would still be impossible. Therefore, the current Xian Tian basically did not want to fight Long Fei head-on. At this moment, he only wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. In any case, he had already achieved his goal for coming here. Although he did not manage to obtain the body of the phoenix, it was sufficient for him. As he spoke, Xian Tian was about to retreat when the pyramid-like crystal in his hand suddenly flashed. Instantly, all of the flames seemed to have touched a cliff wall, extinguishing just outside of Xian Tian's body. Long Fei's eyes lit up, and her gaze immediately locked onto the crystal core of the pyramid. This thing gave Long Fei a different feeling. It seemed to contain some unknown power that was similar to the feeling he had when he used the Hand of the Great Way. Suddenly, the words that the star demon god of boundary had said before her death flashed across Long Fei's mind. Needless to say, this was definitely something that belonged to the Emperor. Instantly, his eyes blossomed with light. An impulse was born in his heart. Can't keep you? Then this daddy will annihilate the entire space, break through the entire Phoenix Valley, and see if I can keep you here. Long Fei said indifferently as her eyes turned cold. With that said, the long spear appeared in Long Fei's hand. In terms of individual combat capabilities, the God of Boundary's blade was countless times stronger than this fallen spear. But the true power of the abyss was manifested in the world of destruction. It was just like back when he defeated the entire meteor world with a single spear strike. Meteorite, just as he said. Without the slightest hesitation, Long Fei thrusted out her spear. It directly smashed towards the highest part of the Phoenix Valley, the door to the Divine Valley, where it was located like the wings of two phoenixes. Boom! Boom! Rumble! With a single spear strike, the symbol of the entire Phoenix Valley broke from the center. Along with this change, the entire Phoenix Valley began to tremble violently, as if the entire Phoenix Valley was about to collapse. Emperor Xian's expression changed. Long Fei, are you crazy? Don't forget, the Phoenix ancestor is still here, your women are still here, and your brothers are too. Do you want them to accompany you in death? Emperor Xian roared. Her face was filled with panic. At this moment, even if he held the divine treasure that was bestowed by the great devil in his hand, He could no longer completely isolate himself from the erosion of the flames, not to mention tearing open the void to escape. This was because the entire Phoenix Valley was already in chaos. In addition to the Phoenix Ancestors' plan, everything here had long ago become a mess. The space had already shattered, and there was not a single complete time point that could cause him to use his power to tear space apart. They won't die. A mere phoenix fire cannot kill my people. But today, you will definitely die. Long Fei coldly snorted. As for Xin Tian's words, he didn't seem to care at all. If Wang Yun and Jiang Chunxiu could not even bear such power, then they didn't have the qualifications to follow Long Fei. As for Jojo, fire can burn phoenixes? Stop messing around. Therefore, killing Emperor Xian was the only thought on her mind. But right at this moment, tens of thousands of phoenixes suddenly appeared above the entire Phoenix Valley. They circled high up in the sky like a formation and cawed continuously. Long Fei also raised her head suddenly. Looking at Pu Tiangai's phoenix, her eyes changed. Has Tu who revealed himself. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.